welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
A good Monday morning to you. Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage live right here on Edmonton Sports Talk on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, on YouTube. We're also wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you to those listeners as well. It's going to be a busy hangout today. Today's show is going to be dominated by the CFL tampering window that I've taken from the morning show to bring into here. We've got the tampering window presented by Nisku Glass that we will have on the show today. Lots to discuss on that one as it opened up yesterday, and I think the majority of 8 other GMs are maybe just getting to it, whereas Ed Hervey was fully in action with that. We do got to talk a little bit about the big trade over the weekend, and that's the NBA trade of Doncic to the LA Lakers from the Dallas Mavericks, and we will get to the controversy of the EST draft that took place on Friday here in the Hangout. We got Tom Gazzola, we got Murray McCourt, we got Lieutenant Eric, we got Matt Iwanyk with you here on the Hangout. And then Brendan Eric, our intern, is on the other side of the computer. Actually, it is warm in here, so let's keep this door open for now until it gets busier in here and stuff.
Hello, Brendan.
Get that going. Murray, how was your weekend?
Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up on shoveling snow because I didn't want to freeze my butt off anymore. I mean, that is just not fun right now.
I would picture you as someone who had a snowblower.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
I respect. Actually, I shouldn't. You're a fitness guy.
Yeah, like
There's a free
you think I'm going to take a lazy way out and something like that? Not a chance. But
I just figured having a toy like that would have been fun, but no, that makes sense.
No, it is cold though. It is just not fun at all. But whatever. There's the sporting world sure was hot this weekend though. Holy, there's some hockey trades going on. The CFL tampering window, that basketball gong show of a trade.
Arsenal destroyed City.
The transfer window, yeah. Another Man United loss at home.
Yes,
Isn't
that's
that
5 of 6.
I didn't want to get to soccer,
Five
but
of 6. 5 of 6.
Yeah.
Liverpool, big win. Nottingham Forest, dominating win.
Chris Wood, best striker in the world.
So
who says no?
Do you? How was the morning show today, Eric?
It was good, yeah. I mean, dominated obviously by Tommy's hijinks over the weekend. Really shadows over my win as well on both platforms. Nobody's talking about that.
Congratulations, Lieutenant Eric.
Thanks very much, man.
Foremost,
yeah,
round the click.
Thank you.
For winning this draft. And I do feel bad for Lieutenant Eric because whether Tommy did something wrong or not, we'll get to that here, it wouldn't have mattered. Lieutenant Eric won this draft. He was going to win this draft. It wasn't going to be changed. So, congratulations to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I quote tweeted bloodbath on X. It was surprising because I said this was the draft that I really didn't care about the most heading in. I didn't find it too
no pressure
poppy, but maybe that was it. I was dealing from a point of advantage with no pressure on. So yeah, I thought I had a good roster. Thought I had a good team. Obviously, choosing that snake position, the 4-5, I really loved.
And that's taking advantage, knowing there's no consensus number 1.
Exactly.
And you still got the swing.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with everything I got. So, and even the commissioner's flub near the end, where she said she thought Stuart Skinner was rather handsome, and then I would go on and choose him. I don't think he was the one either that kind of put me over the top anyway. So that didn't matter at all.
I just need to know though, is this a draft you really want to win? When geez, you handsome.
I've been talking about this for the last month, and nobody's been listening. And now that I've won it, now it's like, oh, you like guys, do you? Well, no. I mean, it's again. I think we can all admit if you're mature enough that man is handsome.
There's a good enough looking man.
But again, that's why I didn't really care about this because I don't really like what is handsome. I was gonna throw the draft and just pick a bunch of uglies because then I could justify Murray by saying, well, they have handsome inside, right? Like it's a handsome character, right? Like what is handsome? What is handsome? It's exactly. So
Tommy
it's kind of
Tommy G. Handsome.
Well, but he was chosen in the 8th round. Would you have had him higher on your?
You know what? That's
you don't want it. This
I don't
is
pay attention to your
this
guys'
answer
drafts,
matters
except
when it comes
for
to
the
our
drama
friendship
that
right now.
always seems to surround them.
Well,
I'm not creating drama.
We will get to before
stirring it
the
up.
EST Hangout. It is presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada's storage expert, more than 2 decades helping Canadians through life's transitions. Right now, 4 weeks free on all units. They've also added this website, which I love, 100% Canadian storage. Sentinel.ca for more details. Okay. Tommy, I'll just start with floor is yours.
Wow.
I'm just going to leave it there.
Oh, thank you.
And then
Thank you, Matthew. Good morning. It's good to be here. I hope everyone had a lovely weekend. Shout out to my guy Declan, who makes sure everybody gets up and down in the press elevator. A-OK.
Oh, Declan.
He's a beauty.
Good dude.
Yeah, just want to give him a shout out. I forgot to give him one on the post-game show on Saturday night. Okay, so we had somebody whining because they don't know how Instagram works and their Insta game is weak. And they didn't have a particularly strong draft. And so within our EST draft group chat, they started complaining. And they also followed up with screen grabs of their phone. And they're like, how is this needs to be punished? And they have no authority when it comes to punishment. So it's basically someone trying to rat me out for something that was not egregious or over the line. Did I promote the draft on Instagram? Yes. Did I happen to screen grab a team that I didn't know which team I was screen grabbing at the time, but it happened to be mine? Yeah, that did happen. Did I also say go and vote for the draft with a link provided and happen to have a bunch of number 3s in there? By accident. I don't know how those got in there. But at no point did I say go vote for team 3, which apparently was mine. I didn't know. And then so this whole debate happened.
Dusty, this isn't your show.
On top of all of that, I was doing very poor on Twitter, but very strong on Instagram.
It was a flip.
And I think that speaks to the demographics, the change in demographics. So on Twitter, lots of guys our age, a lot of our listeners, our audience on that side. But then on Instagram, you get more females, younger people.
The youth vote.
Yeah, and I was talking with Jada. We had to go back to the tape last night because I told her what happened. She was my assistant in picking the team. And she was blown away that we actually do these drafts and found it hilarious. She read the group chat. She couldn't believe the whining. And then on top of that, she goes, I showed the draft list to all my friends and everybody agreed that number 3, whatever her team that was, I guess it's mine, was the best list of handsome men. Because she said her and her friends had no clue who any of the other guys were being picked by the other teams as we were rewatching the tape. I also want to point out that had this vote only been on Instagram, Dustin Nielsen's team and Dustin Nielsen would be relegated.
Ooh. Interesting metric.
So, I mean...
You're going to leave it there.
I mean, you can try to impose sanctions. They're totally unwarranted. So out of good faith, I removed the quote-unquote in question post, which
and you didn't know which team it was.
I had no idea which team
and
was
we're just
the best.
finding this out now. Yeah,
Dusty did have 12% of the vote on Instagram, and the criteria for relegation was 12.5%.
Do you think that's why he's so loud?
Yeah, I do. I think he's trying to
the attention.
And he is very, very,
very interesting,
proud when it comes to his drafting abilities, and I would say in this case inabilities. And he doesn't understand how Instagram, TikTok work. And I've adapted. And I'm sorry for maybe taking advantage of my knowledge of how to do Insta stories properly.
He's never. I send him messages and he never replies.
Yeah, exactly. I tag him and everything. Never gets a repost.
Back to you, no.
So, I mean, did I have a great draft? Yeah. Do I think that the guys on Twitter who voted for my team didn't appreciate or know who I picked? Or, yeah, 100%. I think they went with old classics and that you took advantage of that very well and won. And you
played to the
deserve
choir.
the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we have one person in particular who just is a sore loser. And then on top of that, I think the commissioners... integrity might need to be in question. And that was something that Jade and I discussed yesterday because she's like, whoa, Quinn's getting very involved in this tonight or today.
Too much.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because she's very animated and excited, giving away draft picks to some.
And I just want a record. I've always been for full reinstatement of the original draft.
I'm considering it. I can't believe I'm saying this.
So Quinn is saying, Tom, you're making it worse. Dusty is in the nasty chat. This is garbage. Tommy's just digging deeper and deeper. Tommy at 12 on Twitter. Quinn does say, please explain to me why my integrity is in question. But I'll let you go there, then. I have some thoughts.
Well,
You are the host.
Quinn was tilting the
And the
scales.
former commissioner.
Leading media member
And the
as well.
former
Full
commissioner.
reinstatement.
Like, I love Quinn. She's my favorite commissioner
That's
right now. But she was tilting the scales a little bit because she was getting very animated and opinionated in this draft. Usually she's right on the level, but I did notice I didn't say anything. And then Jada brought it up yesterday, and I agree.
Do you think it's because you took offense to her being called a handsome woman?
No, I'm trying to defend her.
No, I know, but she didn't like that. Like,
No,
because I noticed that kind of started off, and then it snowballed from there.
No, I don't think so. That's beside the point. It's just, I have to defend myself apparently for something I didn't do wrong. And then that's all I have to say about that, which is a lot.
Murray, do you have any thoughts?
No.
No. Okay.
No, this is silly.
I'll
It
start
really is.
I'll start with Tommy. Of course you're going to go after the commish. You went after the last commish, which was me. It's, I'm going to be fine. There's no issues with Commissioner Quinn. One thing goes a little against you, and it's call her integrity. It's a question. How dare you? No. You did go against an unwritten rule. I will admit that.
I don't see it.
It was because
Gentlemen's
that was
agreement.
when
Gentlemen's
I
agreement.
was in place as the commissioner. It was we did the blind names, so no one knew who it was.
There was no.
This goes back to the Nielsen show draft.
This goes back to Nielsen show draft. This goes back to 1260 days. I will
long.
throw that out there. Dusty, though, is also a very sore loser. Dusty, straight up, always whenever things aren't, he makes and this is why it led to my resignation as draft commissioner, is I will go back to the point. He said, the commissioner's going to make a ruling on this. It's his call. I made a call, and then he got up in arms, and he got all upset. And naturally, he goes for 3 hours today.
Yeah.
Not giving you a chance to go on air and defend yourself, just with his thoughts for 3 hours, riling up the EST faithful to get them on his side.
Yep.
So that by the time Tommy comes on, he's complaining on it. By the time Tommy comes on, he's already behind the 8 ball when
Way
it comes to
behind.
defending
I think it was
himself.
brought up before the Doncic deal.
And then he just spends 3 hours getting everyone on his side, pushing for this. And then Lieutenant Eric always pokes the bear
I'm not
quietly behind the scene.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I didn't see today, but you always poke
Well, then you
Dusty.
can't. Now you just
push
put
the right
words.
buttons.
Nah,
you push
that's
the right buttons with him.
offside.
That's okay. Full reinstatement, right?
Yes.
I've
always.
Commish Quinn, I'm here for you. Because, of course, now you're turning. Now you guys always are going to turn on the commissioner. Well, not you.
I'm not
Him.
saying there needs
always
to
gonna
be
turn.
any punitive measures taken. I'm just saying we need to recognize that Commish was tilting the scales a little bit. Because she was very into that draft.
But it didn't do anything for the vote. Tommy, she was not. She went against Eric's picks.
Correct.
She did.
And he's right at the top.
We'd spend 10 minutes talking and fawning over a Dustin pick. I'd say the name and everybody's like, what did you pick again? And I'd have to repeat it. But yet I won on both platforms.
Eric is...
and that's not getting any of the headlines.
He's got very little to blame on this draft. Very little. Almost nothing for Eric. Glue Guy is clean and clear. There's things with you, Tommy. There's things with Dusty. The two of you need to... As the former commissioner, I'll say this. The two of you need to grow up. And if I was either of your fathers, I would tell you to grow up.
Oh, my God.
You could be.
I could. You could. I could.
At this stage, you could be.
I could be their
Who's to say?
fathers.
Exactly.
So that's all I'm going to say as the former commish. So now I'm done. I'm done. But anyone else, if they have anything else on this draft, I will let them speak here.
Dusty's freaking out in the other studio.
No, he's pulling his...
Yeah, he's going to go off in the lock shop like he always does, or he's going to go on Oil Stream with you, and he's going to keep complaining.
Oh, I wonder how Oil Stream's going to go.
That's what... That's going to be fun. That one's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that
You
one.
guys are on together.
Oh, we are.
Oh, boy.
In the studio. It's going to be
No
hot in
Oiler
there.
talk, just draft talk.
There's nothing to talk about with the Oilers. I'm kidding.
This is as silly as Oiler fans whining about Stuart Skinner.
Yes.
That's how silly
That's
this
a
is.
great
Well,
segue.
Skills competition, I mean...
Oh, before Quinn, it says, Tom has broken other gentlemen's agreements in my time as commissioner. I'm just going to throw that one out there.
I disagree wholeheartedly. She doesn't even know which
details
ones.
in that.
I don't
Bring
know.
the receipts.
So,
Wouldn't
do you
mind
want to
knowing.
quickly get into Skinner here?
But he has one bad game, and people want to run him out of town again. Like, huh? Like
with Ekholm out of the lineup.
Are you not? Is nobody allowed to ever have a bad? Or is Stuart Skinner not allowed to have a bad game in his life? I mean, like people need to get over it. People have good games. People have bad games. Players go in slumps. Players go on highs. I mean, like. I just don't get it. He is the most chastised player for no good reason, and it drives me nuts. As you know, as I've had 2 crazy rants about it in the last 2 years, but
yeah, like I wish people would just evaluate, and I understand where they'll come from against me on my comment here, and I do get it too, but evaluate his playoffs. That's what matters. The regular season doesn't matter. We're not going to sit here at the end of this hockey season and look back on how Stuart Skinner played in January. We don't care. It's how did he play in April, May, June?
Yeah.
And hopefully it is to June. And the flip side will be, well, he's not good enough now. Might as well get the goalie, otherwise you're wasting this year. Okay. But Tom will point out, third year, full year.
It's his third full season.
And he went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final last year. I'm more than okay giving him that shot at doing it again in year 4. And then to Eric's point here, then who is that goalie that you're?
We always want to say it's one part.
Yeah.
Get rid of him. Well, then finish the sentence.
Yeah. What are you going to get? What are you going to pay for?
And we do this every morning. We go through this exercise. Finish it. Nobody finishes the sentence and exactly what you pay for.
I won't even go to that part. I don't even think we need to get to the point of what you would pay for it, because it's who's that goalie that's a guaranteed Stanley Cup winner. That's available on the market right now that you can go get.
When you come to the table with that argument, have the.
But we don't even need to get to the next door. Like go through that door to the next part of this. Of okay, now what's the trade part of this? It's who is that guy that you are going to go get at this moment in time,
realistically,
that is out there. That I would like to know, and then we could get into the okay. Well, what assets do the Edmonton Oilers have that they could realistically go trade to get said goalie? You want to have a conversation in the summer if the Oilers lose and don't win the Stanley Cup this year. Okay, let's have those discussions then, because it's a lot more wiggle room for the Edmonton Oilers to deal with. But today, after a loss where they fought back
4-3,
it almost was a tie hockey game. Review away from being a tie hockey game, and
they didn't play their best game. They were sloppy in the first period. Defense
I think the team that beat them too would probably trade their tandem for this tandem.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
If you're
thinking Wall or Murray or Skinner and Pickard right now.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, a combination of the two.
Jody, but yes, Matt, but Stuart Skinner almost lost us the series in Vancouver, but they didn't lose.
But go to the Dallas series.
The Dallas series
so that's always
was the better goalie.
Outplayed Oettinger.
And take away the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup final, he outplayed Bob, I would argue. Yeah. First 2 games, Sergei Bobrovsky looked like the Vezina.
Oh, the Oilers scored 1 goal in the first 2 games.
Or not the Vezina.
And 1 in game.
$10.5 million Bobrovsky.
Exactly. But I would, in the end, though, they didn't lose to Vancouver. Now, Calvin Pickard came in, but then who won game 6 and 7 of that series?
Stu.
That's why the tandem is such a key here.
Yeah, right. And that's some of my point, too. Like, if Connor McDavid doesn't have a great game, you rely on secondary scoring. So if Stewart's having a little off run, you rely on the second goaltender. And then you know what? The next game, Stewart can come back and play great. Or the next game, Connor McDavid can come back and play great. And you don't need that fourth line to chip in with a goal or two to win a hockey game for you. Like, it's really no different. That's why you have 21 guys on the team. It doesn't always have to be this guy or that guy that has to play well to win you the game.
And I think another word that was bandied about on the morning show is economically good in terms of his
price point,
his money and everything. So you factor all that in. Yeah.
Okay. You talk about people say get rid of him, but then the sentence ends there, conversation ends there. I went on our YouTube last night and I was just looking at some of the videos, and I went to the post-game show. I clicked into it and there's a few comments, and one of them's like, they need to go and get Sorokin. And I'm like, okay. Do you know the Islanders probably want him too? Why are they going to just give the Oilers Ilya Sorokin? No logic behind any of this.
Do you think the Doncic deal poisons everyone's ideas and thoughts on how
maybe,
sports
it does now.
That's the NBA. The NBA is crazy, Wild West, whatever. Oh my God, how's that happen? And therefore, it should happen as well in the NHL. And if you want something, it should be presented to you on a silver platter.
It was brought up. I saw it on Twitter yesterday. If somebody's like, I'm never going to go against like the crazy trades again because of I went through all these years of Lakers crappy trades, and then they still go get this like of the proposals. Like I don't even think the Doncic trade is accepted in NBA video games right now. Like right, like
Exactly.
Like okay, I don't. We'll get to Doncic much later.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
I just have to quickly say the fact that the Lakers got that call from the Mavericks and went, "Are you joking?" should have been an indication to the Mavericks this isn't a good trade. But okay, that's fine.
But it does poison the mind too of a hockey fan, specifically in Oilers, when you're like, oh yeah, we'll just call up Lou and
8.25.
Yeah.
Sorokin's 8.25.
yeah, easy. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go get Sorokin.
Forget about the cap.
Yeah,
Worry about
so-
that later. Just get him.
So then that deal is Stuart Skinner, Savoy, or a first round pick, maybe both. And then you got to give away
You got to get rid of about
$5 or
$6
$6
million.
million player on your roster right now. So Nuge.
But he has to agree to the trade.
Yeah.
And he might not agree to that trade.
So Skinner, Nugent Hopkins, and Savoy, or a first round draft pick. You want to make that trade?
And once again, Nuge could just be like, nope.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. And you have to go to Evander Kane. And he could be like, no.
Yeah.
And you got to go to Zach Hyman and be like, no.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many other players there are on the roster that you could go
pissing
to.
them all off, too.
And then it's like there's no one else to go make that trade. So,
Oh, Ekholm could probably go too. Yeah.
Why not? While we're at it,
he doesn't have a trade clause, I think. He doesn't
Sure,
have something.
sure.
There you
So
go.
there's a guy you could actually trade that has a decent
Skinner,
cap for this.
Ekholm, Savoy, for.
But again, it's funny you
and that
mention
brings
Ekholm
it-
because if he's in Saturday night,
Maybe they're sharper in their own zone.
Yeah.
they were perfect on the penalty kill heading into that over the past I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he doesn't handle the puck for, it's not, but I mean, when he's out of, that's a glaring hole on your blue line, which directly involves your goaltender.
Stetcher on the first one.
Yeah.
Gets out muscled. And then it was Connor Brown on the second power play goal again.
So,
Again, Toronto's a good team that had lost 3 in a row. So
Yes.
you know they're wanting to turn their tables around here. So they needed to have a good game, and they did.
yeah, they had a good start.
Yeah.
They
And-
also
and-
historically have the Oilers number.
yeah.
And
in
we
recent
went
years,
back
too.
on this
Home and away? Like,
Friday or Thursday or something. Going through
Edmonton
them.
had won the last 2 home games against Toronto.
okay.
But if you go through season series, the Oilers have not won a 2-game season series since it was before 2010
Okay.
when we were
Yeah.
looking. Like it's either the Leafs and the Oilers split the series, or the Leafs have swept the series quite a bit.
Yep.
Like the Leafs have the Oilers number for whatever reason. That like the Oilers have other teams' numbers. Right now, the Leafs sort of have the Oilers number a little bit.
I think it started in the 90s.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys were at the rink. Like, I mean, you know the app, like when they come, like there's original
always-
6 teams, but this is the one.
This
I
one
was
and the
mall
Habs are
ratting.
always fun.
I was around the mall this weekend. Maple Leafs fans crawling around everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
they come out of
There's a lot
each and
of
every
Leafs
town
gear.
around.
Yeah.
You know, they all come here and
This
congregate.
is
so-
moneymaker for season ticket holders of the Oilers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They could sell for quite a bit, make some cash.
But the players know that. That's a big
Oh,
difference.
yeah.
It's like a bowl game, like in a
Yeah.
sense. It's a big one. It's
Stu Skinner was getting the Bronx cheers, or he was getting chastised in his own barn by Leafs fans, taunting him with skin or.
So the Oilers are what, 3rd overall right now?
Yeah.
3rd overall.
well, and Vegas lost again yesterday too.
Yeah,
so they're
Vegas is in the tank, but their
Yeah.
goalies must suck then, hey? Huh, have to.
great arithmetic
Yeah.
there, Murray. Yeah.
But, so Oilers are 3rd place in the league with this crappy goalie named Stuart Skinner. How are they 3rd place in the league right now? How does that happen? I
Yeah,
don't
but
get
they'd be
it.
first if they didn't have Skinner.
Wow.
They had
but it
Sorokin,
doesn't
maybe
even matter,
beyond
does it?
first.
Because it's not playoffs yet.
No, but the argument for them other is that, well, they
Right.
could be 2 spots higher.
And so they probably have about 30 games left. So I hate to break it to you, Oilers fans. They're probably going to lose 8 or 10 more games this year. But in the regular season, they're probably going to go like 20 and 10, which is great.
Yeah.
And then when they lose those 10 games, shut up about Stuart Skinner.
Hey, you're talking about a 50-win
He's good.
season. Not good enough.
Oh,
There's going to
my
be
gosh.
either criticism of Stuart Skinner or Evan Bouchard.
Well,
It's going to be mixed between those two.
If you want to talk about performance, Bouchard's had a spotty season.
He's had a spotty season, sure.
It's saving
But it's
the
not
Oilers
worth
millions
trading-
of dollars on his next contract.
It's not
I think,
worth
though.
trading the guy.
No.
Oh.
But what does he get now? Like the number that was thrown out there before was 11 million.
That's
After
the
this
ask,
year,
Murray.
there's no way in the world he's getting 11 million.
No,
Not even close.
that's fair.
8 maybe.
I think the market's going to inflate that, though. That's what sucks. He's better than what we've seen. Like this year, I don't know if it's the looming contract or what, but he has struggled, obviously. The offense hasn't been there like it was last year. in his own zone, he struggled. Shaggy was talking about it on the mandate. Great opportunity with Ekholm out to rise, right? He's starting to become a veteran defenseman in the league, and he didn't. He made some poor judgment calls in the first period. Actually, throughout the game, there was one outlet pass that went for an icing in the third period. I'm like, oh my goodness, what the hell was that? Just little examples like that you're like, what are you doing? And I think that next year, whenever this contract gets done, whatever the number looks like, people will probably hate it. But I think he gets back to playing more like the guy we saw last year, who was decent in his own zone.
After the beginning.
Well, yeah.
It took him some time to get there.
4 years in a row, he's had really slow starts.
Yeah. And some guys just do.
Yeah.
That's the way some guys roll for some reason. Maybe.
But he hasn't cleaned it up this year, unlike the other three.
Dusty's just staring, shaking his head,
Ripping
and
up
pointed
paper.
at you
Very
ripping up
aggressively.
Paper. You had your 3 hours.
No, I'll talk tomorrow or oil stream.
Oil stream.
You're a horrible.
About what?
Dusty's calling him a horrible liar.
You could say you didn't know you were pulling your team.
That's
You
the
put on
best
it,
part.
best team ever.
We've got the oil stream for this later.
I don't know what's the problem. Do you see this W? What's the problem here?
You didn't get a W. It
I'm
looks
making a
like
W
3.
with my fingers.
It's 3. That's
It's
his team.
3.
That's his team.
Dusty.
His team 3.
It's W.
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangouts. Don't worry, I don't have something for this one. Brought to you by Lloydstad Insurance Brokers. I got to get it for tomorrow to Brendan. Lloydstad Insurance Brokers were the proud presenting sponsor of the EST Fun Spiel, which will be taking place next Saturday. So not this one, the one following Feb 15 at the Shamrock. If you have a business and you need any sort of insurance, Lloydstad.com. Connect with Kevin Bondel there. He's a fellow nasty. But if you have a business for your insurance needs, be sure to connect with Kevin, and thank you to Lloydstad Insurance Brokers for being the presenting sponsor of the EST Fun Spiel. Matt Iwanyk, Lieutenant Eric, Murray McCourt, Tom Gazzola with you here on the EST Hangout. I'm switching now because this Hangout was supposed to be the majority of the time, and we're going to switch to it now. The news that, knew that there was going to be some news. Started at 10 a.m. yesterday. I've got a press release to get to quickly here. CFL tampering window opened up 10 o'clock Mountain Time yesterday morning. The Edmonton Elks have announced that they've extended Niles Morgan
Nice.
on a 2-year contract extension. That press release has come out. So for those that don't know, that the tampering window opened up yesterday. Teams have until, I believe it's Sunday, to speak with all the free agents. Then the window closes. There's 48 hours for teams to renegotiate or talk again to their pending free agents. And then free agency opens up next Tuesday at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, where teams can officially sign these players.
And we'll be covering that, hey? Free agency.
We will have a free agency show here.
Mr. Gerbic
on
says,
Tuesday.
why did EST not have a CFL free agency show? Pretty sad for a company that said you support the CFL and Elks so much.
Well, today is a tampering window hangout.
It's not open yet.
Which we are getting to. Free agency is Tuesday, February 11th at 10 o'clock. The EST Hangout will be a CFL free agency show.
That's when it
Bernange
starts.
jumping on. Lucas Holt is coming on. We will do, just like we did last year, full CFL free agency on a Tuesday. The tampering window, we can't do a CFL free agency day the entire week. And on top of that, we didn't know what news would come.
This was your weekend. Pro Bowl, Pebble Beach Pro-Am. You were excited.
have-
That's what the hangout was going to be today.
Pro Bowl got ruined. I was too busy with
Well,
the
I know.
CFL. I was so
Well,
excited
and
to
Rory
watch
with
the
the
Pro
Pebble
Bowl.
Beach.
And then
It was your weekend, baby.
Pro Bowl even happened?
it's flag football.
We don't, yeah.
Pro Bowl games.
The Edmonton Elks, though, and Ed Hervey, he had a lot of cap space. He had 3 of 29 pending free agents signed going into yesterday. So he had money to spend, and did he spend it? So Ed Hervey apparently has agreed to terms with 6 players that we'll find out officially next Tuesday. Jake Serezna, defensive lineman Robbie Smith, defensive lineman Jared Brinkman, all 3 from the Toronto Argonauts. You got defensive back Terrell Ford. You got offensive lineman David Beard. You got receiver Keon Julian Grant. He's also signed 2 players in Niles Morgan and Brett Boyko. I've got the Justin Dung tweet of these 8 players up. However, I know 3 Down Nation says they haven't been able to confirm it. Farhan Lalji of TSN, who to me is Adam Schefter of this league. He also has Royce Mechie, defensive back of the Toronto Argonauts, coming to the Edmonton Elks. So
Canadian, too.
That's 9 players Ed Hervey agreed to terms with yesterday. That's 6 Canadians that Ed Hervey signed yesterday. They have officially confirmed the Niles Morgan there. Brett Boyko was released. He's now brought back.
Yep.
Where do you guys want to begin with? Because there wasn't a lot else that happened yesterday. Drew Wolotarski went to Hamilton. Dalton Schoen resigned in Winnipeg.
Hatcher got released.
Winston McManus resigned with Argos.
Yeah.
Keon Hatcher, after not being able to come to terms with the restructure deal with BC, he got
so
released.
Hatcher out, Holland's out. Like they're going to look different in the receiving.
Mike Rose signing with the Saskatchewan.
Yep.
Kenny Lawler's still out there. Eugene Lewis is still out there. Kadeem Carey's still out there. A lot of other names still out there. Ed Hervey did a lot. He did a lot yesterday. And still apparently in Stubblefield.
Yeah.
Still in on.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Murray?
Oh, wow. I mean, every time I kept refreshing my Twitter yesterday, it's like, what? Another one. Like, it was fun, man. I even texted you, said, like, holy smokes. And I texted another buddy. I said, what are the odds? I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. I said, I want to know. I texted a gambling buddy. I said, I want to know what the odds are on Elks to win the Grey Cup. It was 19-1. I said, bet $100 for me, please. I'll pay you back because
it's worth a shot.
It's 19-1 with that lineup of guys coming in. And, I look at it now and I'm trying to figure out where the weaknesses are. Well, they still need a kicker.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it a little bit before the show. Like, they don't have that true blue number one receiver. They've got some really solid depth at receiver, but I don't see a game breaker there. But O-line, check. Quarterback, check. Running backs, check. D-line, check. Linebackers, check. And defensive backfield, check. Like, this is a damn good football team, guys.
What do you guys say to, like, Beard coming back here? Saresna after 1 year, a championship year with Toronto, coming back here. It's like, to me, when I saw that, I was like, wow. I think it's a sign of the shift in management and the type of people running the team now and the perception of them, because those guys, all of a sudden, it's like a homecoming, it feels like. And they're doing it during the tampering window.
I'm going to start with the D-line. Dimitri Maxey, back with the Edmonton Elks, was with the Argos last year running their D-line.
Right.
3 defensive linemen for the Toronto Argonauts, including Jake Saresna coming to him. That is a Maxey effect without question.
It's a Maxey effect when also you have Mason, the division coaching into the team, which you could argue he might have a pull. They won that war. That was a war that they won. And these guys come in with rings. The golden passports on some of them. I mean, the Canadian, even Royce Metchie, if that gets over the line. I mean, that all helps. But I think, again, Hervey bringing in, we talk about Mark Hillam and we talk about the coordinators, but Maxey, the defensive line coach, and having familiarity with these guys like Saresna.
And he's not officially the defensive line. He doesn't have that title.
No, but whatever.
I know. He's going to be running it.
Specialist, consultant, whatever you want to talk.
Coordinator and defensive specialist or something. He's running the D-line.
Yeah. Right. Outside of getting Winton McManus, I mean, which again, that was a prize. But you're getting those guys along the line to which, that Argos defense and especially that line was extremely good. That's a huge win and a big boon in keeping them from perhaps going to another coach that they had familiarity with within the division.
Well, the other part that is great is that, like, right away, so generally you have 4 guys on the defensive line. 75% of your D-line knows each other.
Yes.
Right? Like, the coaching of this for J.C. Sherrod and Maxey when they coached the D-line and the defense, 3 of the 4 guys that will be on that D-line are used to playing with each other.
Yeah.
And how much that is going to help this team moving forward, where there's not going to be much of a learning curve as they come to camp. It's... you're just doing this in Edmonton from what you did in Toronto.
You have high roster turnover, but you're right. There's a lot of those guys that know each other from that other place. So the turnover in that position. And it's one of the positions that Hervey did. Defensive line and defensive secondaries were both 2 places that he said needed to be rebuilt. And I think they've done. If they can go out and get Stubblefield as well, just to add to the linebacker hybrid defensive back linebacker core. I mean, Ford and Metchie, both Canadians. Back there, you now have a lot of flexibility to play around with the rest.
Yes,
I mean, that's just...
Nick Anderson's the big thing now, kind of, for me. What's happening with Nick Anderson? Is he going to the NFL or is he staying with the Edmonton Elks? Yeah. That's the big thing. If they don't, like, the receiving part to this, and I will go back to Ed with Edmonton as opposed to Ed with BC. Because you were right, you said...
It's just,
in 2019,
it's an interesting
Ed spent a lot of money in 2019.
Yeah.
But he also had Devon Claybrooks.
The tampering window's named after him, for crying out loud. Odell Willis, 2013. That was the whole... right?
But I trust Ed finding receivers. He doesn't need to go spend there because he will go find them.
I wouldn't overpay
found
too
Darrell
much
Walker.
either.
He found Brandon Zylstra. Like, there's a thing. There's going to be a couple of names that are going to come here in the next few weeks or next couple of months that are going to be signed. That we're going to just see their press release. I'm like, one of them might be good.
I even think of Mathis. An Odom Dukes, who's got a lot to prove. I mean, he's got a lot of years ahead of him and healthy. I think a lot of these guys have a high ceiling and a good price point.
Well, Julian Grant is one of those guys
Fast,
that
Canadian.
He's never had that real chance. Maybe this is his breakout.
Yeah.
And there's still Gittins Jr.
Yeah.
So you've got Gittins Jr. plus you bring Seresna back.
Yeah.
The whole trade's for naught. And I think the name that we're all, again, as sexy as the whole shopping list and the day that it was, Niles Morgan.
It's a big one.
Like,
and that is now official again.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of, I guess, fright there that he might go out and test his hand down south there. But him coming back too, just when that gets lost in the shuffle, it's a good day, I guess.
You mentioned a couple of receivers that are still left, but when they got the best players, the best linebacker that was out there, they got the best defensive lineman that was out there, they got the best offensive lineman was out. Like, what's left for the other teams right now?
But we also mentioned they were addressing needs. They weren't just going out and spending, hey, let's bring in a guy we don't, like a high price.
We just got money, we're going to go
Yeah,
spend.
yeah.
Because that's the Elks had a team that they had players. They needed to bolster certain areas.
Yes.
And you look at the offensive line right now. Ivy's back on the left side. Boyko's back on the right side. Cordy's still around, but he's probably going to move to right guard. Beard's in. Okay, who's going to be your left guard? That was Foucault last year. He's a free agent. Is Ed going to bring him back, or is Ed going to go somewhere else?
Yeah. You got so many American spots open. I mean, it could easily be
the benefit of
another guy from the States that we don't know about right now that could be some beast that in this league that's never been here before.
Yeah.
I know Ed looks down the spine, though. And so it's like, okay, if Mechie comes, he could be your... Is it him? Is it your safety, or did they bring in someone else?
Well,
Mechie would be the safety.
And Ford.
Ford's not safety. We didn't even bring up Terrell Ford. Terrell Ford.
Sure.
You've got Niles Morgan, you got the D-line, you got the O-line, you got Trey Ford, you got Rankin/League. That's how Ed builds.
That's crazy.
And that is, like, you don't win a Grey Cup in February. I've seen a lot of teams go out and win free agency, and the next year they don't do much. But it sure damn helps if you were a team like the Edmonton Elks looking for that next step. The Edmonton Elks better be a playoff team.
And to generate some buzz.
100% buzz with their fan base, but there is no reason to think that this team won't make the playoffs this year. If they don't, it's a massive failure of this organization.
They're better today than when they ended the season.
Yeah,
but as you mentioned too, there were
miles.
pieces on that roster, but it wasn't a disastrous. We've seen stinkers in the CFL.
This wasn't
like
Chris
some teams
Jones
that are-
taking over the team from Jay Malazano and Brock Sentinel, which was where do you even begin fixing this team?
Yeah.
This was, okay, we've got these pieces here.
Yeah.
These are the ones we need to go fix.
Yeah.
This team was 2 wins away from a playoff last
And that's why I think, you've seen it recently. I think some teams have had success with a good, shall we say, by committee receiving group. And I don't. Some of these guys that like Lawler's demanding so much money. Gino, as we know, priced himself up.
Absolutely.
And then there might be teams that are desperate to go pay for them. But I think where the Elks are right now, go on, get your purse.
Well, I'd love to know where they're at salary cap wise, because they still have a lot of depth to get in here still. But the other piece of that I really love is head coach was in Calgary, GM was in Hamilton, defensive line coach was in Toronto. Offensive coordinator was in BC.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationships that these guys cover most of the league.
Mm-hmm.
And so these depth guys that are out there, they may come here because of those relationships.
Exactly.
And I am really comfortable and confident that this is going to be like a massive, massive bounce back here.
Well, like it should be. It's on Trey now. Like, as much as we love Trey,
But even he too
now
has some
you've got to
depth there
take that
too.
step up.
It's
But that also helps the receiving cores. You don't need those big threats if he has his legs going. You have a running game and you have Trey's running ability.
Yeah.
Somebody should get open.
They're a
now all you have to do is
complement.
catch the football.
And a fantastic offensive line, star running backs. Man, like that's a good point. If you just have a bunch of really good receivers, one of them can get open and Trey's legs.
And even it's not all on Trey's shoulders either.
Yeah.
When you have a Cody Fajardo, that's again, I'm not speaking of any controversy, but it's his job to take and run with.
Mm-hmm.
But say if something unfortunate happens, from a team point of view, you've got a guy that's won a great. Nobody knows how to get it done.
Yeah.
In Cody Fajardo.
Maybe there's ways that, like, hey, look, maybe this is a flip side. Won it last year with MB2 and Trey Ford. Maybe they should do a little Trey Ford and Cody Fajardo, and that's packages.
Well, they're both the same. That's last year. one was a square peg, one was a round peg. Like they're both two stylistically different quarterbacks. How do you have a shared, you know what I mean? But this you could swap
Can you
out and
bring in
Why
Cody
not?
for a little bit here, just to mess with the other team?
Why not?
You know, and like I don't think that's a shot at Trey Ford.
Not
in
at
any way,
all.
shape, or form.
Not at all.
That's just using your assets.
Exactly.
And the Canadian Football League is slowly turning. Well, like it's not a Trey thing necessarily. Or even quarterbacks across the league get hurt.
You do it with running backs. Share the
Why
load.
not?
Yeah.
Maybe mix things up every so
Then
often.
the
do
pressure
something
isn't
there.
so much on his, to get it done himself.
But now, from a business perspective too, because now we probably should bring up Terrell Ford because it was the first signing this team had. You have, I think, the Turf District had it, the face of the franchise. Because it's the twin brothers, so it's the singular face of the franchise. You know, like
Love it.
you've got the two guys that you can go market the hell out of.
They better get started right now.
Exciting players on both sides of the ball.
Young.
Young
Yeah.
Canadians.
Yep.
Like the entire story of Trey and Terrell Ford that you get to go to the Edmonton market with.
CFL and TSN's they're already doing the promo packages as we speak. Like that's all.
Yeah, there's gonna
We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn who learned to tie their shoes.
the rest
first.
of the CFL is going to
Like,
hate the Edmonton.
Oh no,
for
it's
this.
going to be a long, exhaustive
I'll say
story,
that.
but it doesn't
Yes.
happen every single season, so it should be talked about.
You talked about Cody Fajardo and, not to stir up a controversy
Not at
there,
all.
but you know what? Terrell Ford coming here is like, there is no controversy. Trey Ford is absolutely the quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And Terrell Ford, I mean, the Elks are all in on this Ford brother thing.
I'm just saying there's no pressure so much to say that this is yours and you have to get it done and you're all by
Right.
yourself type
Yeah.
of. He
Yeah.
can now operate in a bit of a looseness. Cody's not coming to get his job, as you said. This is more of a, Terrell comes in here and it signifies that it is Trey's team.
Yeah.
But you've got lots of help all around
Yes,
you with
all
with
over
no
the place.
controversy at
Yeah.
all. Like that, I think that's the beauty. Because sometimes when you do bring in a vet like that, and you have a young guy, and maybe you could find, maybe they're not behind him fully. Well, bringing in a guy like Terrell Ford signifies to me that they are fully
I didn't think
invested,
of
right?
that.
Like
Yeah.
that.
I didn't think of that part of it at all.
And-
You're
and
right.
so-
and it's a 2-year
but
deal.
it's a
So
nice-
many
but it's-
2-year deals
yeah.
in this. All this, there's a lot of
Yeah.
2-year deals.
So there should never be any controversy. There
Yeah.
shouldn't
I
be
never
pressure.
thought of that.
It's
Because were you going to bench his brother for Cody after one game or something? And
No.
now
Not gonna
Terrell Ford's pissed off
Yeah.
and going, I signed here. And
You screwing my brother over?
because it's
not
funny though,
happening.
the flip side is Winnipeg all season, as Chris Jones and then Jerry Jackson, Giroy were running this team. We're like, Terrell or Trey Ford, come play with Terrell here in Winnipeg. Come, and how it's flipped on Winnipeg.
Yeah, exactly.
You lost your guy.
and Trey would be a backup there, and
and now
different.
it's here in Edmonton, and they're having to deal with that.
Cool. I like that. Well, I was trying to show my brother the video of Terrell and Trey before one of their games, like playing catch in warm up and stuff. And I think Trey threw the ball to Terrell. He caught it, he put it and spun it and like did a dance. And I was like, that was actually pretty neat because my brother all of a sudden is like, no way, they got his brother. And I was like, yeah, they're twins.
They're like you and Paulie, pretty much.
Yeah, except I'm 7 years older than Paulie. But I was explaining to him, he's like, man, that's cool. And I love that dynamic. And you're right, that is something you could put into the marketing machine and pump it out.
So easy.
Now you have two faces, but the face of the franchise, you can do all kinds of things with it. I like it. And it sounds like they're becoming the evil empire again. Right?
Well, off the field to start.
Yeah.
But now you got to
Go win. Yeah, exactly.
Like that first game when they're out in BC, which is a cool story. Like, it's too bad that's an 8 o'clock start. And probably BC is going to have some sort of concert. So it'll be like an 80-20 kickoff.
8 o'clock
'cause that's
kickoffs
late.
in Vancouver, always
yeah.
grimy. Always something. Everybody's asleep. Officials get a little flag happy. Like it's always.
But you get two first-time head coaches, Buck Pierce, Mark Killam going up, with two Canadian quarterbacks going at it, Trey Ford, Nathan Rourke.
Hell yeah.
Great way for the first weekend. I think that might be the last game of the weekend. Great for the weekend to end, or maybe
Yeah.
the second last game of the weekend, or whatever it is. And it's just like that.
Big
That
game
was
in
a
the
little
Junior.
earlier. Well, you and McCourt are going to have a big battle there with Trey and,
yeah.
and Nathan there.
Yeah, maybe.
Unless maybe the Sacramento Gold Miners
No,
can make
it's-
a
we'll
little
see
bit
what
of a
happens
trade
there,
there.
yeah,
And, we'll see what goes on there. Interesting.
But you'll need both Fords now in the hangout. You got to complete the set. You've already had Trey in. You need the Ford show, the Ford hangout.
With all due respect to Gavin Cobb, who's been great when we've had Trey in, the brother part to that would
he would
be
vacate
something
his
else.
seat. I'm sure he understands.
I hope he gets signed somewhere. Hopefully Edmonton. I still would like depth with Gavin Cobb.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a nice little receiver.
Good passport.
Yeah.
You know?
But you have to go win now. Like you can't go and lose 30-7 to BC in that first game of the season. Like to truly be the evil empire again, to truly be a team that can then sit there like
You got to be.
I got to see what Jay accidentally put 2 bets on the Elks to win the Grey Cup a number of weeks ago. I want to say it was plus 2,000 when he bet.
Really?
The Elks are now plus 1,300. So in the span of the last 24 hours or so, their odds on Cool Bet
And he got that
rose.
plus 2,000, or you don't know?
He bet twice accidentally
He got both of them.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
So when they were lower.
But the plus 2,000?
I don't know what his official. They were like the worst in the Canadian football.
There's
League.
Jay.
Hey Jay,
Yo.
what did you bet the Elks?
Win the Grey Cup.
Yeah, what was the was it plus 2,000? Do you remember?
2,200.
Oh, it's 2,200. Yeah, they're plus 1,300 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've,
They've the odds are. You saw this before everyone else.
And I accidentally did it twice.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So explain to a non-gambler, what does that mean? Plus
so
2,200.
22 to 1.
Yeah. So
22
what
to
that
1,
means
okay.
is if you bet $100, you're gonna win $2,200.
Okay.
When it's plus.
So I got it at 19 yesterday.
So yeah, that's how that works. And you put 100,
Yeah.
so it'd be
I'm
1,900
just going
bucks.
to
you
plan
get
what
back.
I'm going to spend that 1,900 on already.
Well, it's okay. I'll say right now, two of the you fully can't throw Winnipeg out, but Winnipeg.
they're hosting.
Yeah.
They're hosting.
This is this is their last
but they're
hurrah,
losing
arguably.
some players.
I
Like
know.
losing Terrell Ford's
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
deal. We'll see if they can bring back Kenny Lawler, but they've lost some players.
Peyton Logan, I think, is an outstanding grab for them.
It's still early in the
That's true.
process. The tampering window just happened yesterday, so let's see what
Absolutely,
happens
but
over the
I
next
would
week.
say Winnipeg still, you can't fully disrespect them.
No.
I'm not liking what BC's done so far.
Well, they're gonna be
they've a lot of
very little.
deletions. A lot of
Yeah, yeah,
deletions.
yeah.
Because they're trying to get under the cap. Edmonton, Saskatchewan are the two teams that I think are right now. If I had to say right now, fighting for second, it's those two teams.
Saskatchewan?
Solid team last year.
Well,
Give Corey Mace another full year with that team. If AJ Olette could stay healthy this year,
Well, they got him and Armstead. They signed Mike Rose. They signed that other Argonauts defensive lineman who had injury issues, but he's a mean SOB.
they didn't. They haven't like Saskatchewan. I don't. You could correct me if what I'm wrong here on this. I don't think they've really lost anyone of significance.
They would like Marcus Sales back. There's a few players in the secondary that they wouldn't mind going out and getting. There's a few players still on their wish list that they wouldn't mind getting, but nothing of like they. To put it bluntly, I don't think their roster's in a position where they need to go out and address so many needs. Maybe a splash, some talk about a receiver, but they're right there in a window as well. And they had a lot of. I mean, if they can, health is always a thing too. I mean, you can go out and
Absolutely,
get people, and then you get half of them on the IR or whatever. But no, I'm with you. I think they're right there. How much of a step do you think the Stampeders make? And again,
VA's not happy.
early in the
No.
tampering window.
My brother sent me tweets of VA yesterday.
But he did that promo video where he was going around the city, and they were. This is
Sure.
a cowboy hat, and this is a.
But
Wouldn't he want Gino?
That's
you would
where
think that he's
all
going.
The arrows point.
And 3 Down Nation says Gino. There's 4 teams that reached out to Gino, and I think they also said 4 teams that have reached out to Kenny Lawler. So we'll see what happens there. But VA's a couple of tweets that VA had yesterday.
Peyton Logan's a big miss for them. I think I like that guy.
So VA had scared money don't make money. I'm trying to win in all caps. So help me, help you. Go Stamps. So like
What's
I think
he doing?
I think he's just looking at the Stamps yesterday going, are you doing anything
Wow.
here, guys? Are you bringing anyone else in? Because he's probably seeing like a couple of those defensive linemen and all that like go to Edmonton or well, it was
They got
mostly
it.
Edmonton yesterday.
They have to bring in Gino for
Why
just
wouldn't like,
community pop, the relationship he has with VA, all that stuff. I mean, it all points there.
I wish we knew caps.
exactly. Because
Like I don't care about the salaries.
Yeah.
There was that website, remember?
I
There was
know.
one. Yeah. There was a CFL cap website.
Somebody tried
once.
creating one.
When it got shut down?
The
There
guy
was-
just lost interest doing it. I mean,
Yeah, I think you have to try to figure.
It's yeoman's work,
I
you know,
once
like-
tried keeping track of the Elks free agents because every year what they do tell you is how many years they have.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I tried
yeah.
keeping a spreadsheet to be like, okay, who is, who isn't. It's a lot of work. Like, see if they just needed honestly 2 things. Send us, create a cap friendly type thing of just this player signed for 2 years and tell us the total cap.
Yeah.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You
But
gotta
so I don't know how much the Elks have left.
Well, he's keeping
And-
some money for Nick.
Well, he's under contract. Is he not?
No,
Or did they release
him
him?
to pursue the NFL
Okay,
opportunity?
you're right.
Which generally means that he'll give Edmonton, thank you for that, so I'm coming back to you. But if he's a jerk, he could just go to the highest bidder and say, screw you, Edmonton. But
That or there was some rules in the CFL about going to the NFL. I'd have to go back and read the CBA where you release for but the Elks might own his rights because of that, so they can't. I'd have to go double check that.
Theoretically sign whoever you want now, as long as you're compliant by kickoff. Like once your rosters need to get trimmed down. I think once they need to get trimmed down by end of training, like you can go out now and spend like a but once the season you have to get down to your roster requirements. That's when you have to be. So.
No, but that's because in the NHL, you could be 10% over the cap until through the off season. Yeah. I don't know what it is in the Canadian Football League. We don't know those stuff, but it'd be great to like even Calgary though. It's like, okay, well, how much money do you have? Go sign Gino maybe, and it's like, well, you still have money for some other things. It'd be great to have that little more informed conversation.
And once all the dust settles from free agency, I mean, trades can happen too, and bodies can move around. Teams can fill holes from depth to help other teams.
But okay, so I said you can't win Grey Cup in February. What helps you win Grey Cup? It's those press releases that are going to come through March and April.
Yes,
that's where teams build that depth, and then all of a sudden we get stars from this league that we have no idea about through those little press releases that come that go, we signed 7 guys.
And that's why I've always maintained that to have success. Obviously, the Canadian Constitution. I think the Elks doing what they're doing and bringing a lot of those Canadians during this window is big. Signing Americans, I've always said scrap heaping. It's good and it's okay depending what situation you're in. But a truly successful CFL franchise is always built from within, and your pipeline's within.
It's the scouting department.
It's the scouting. It's getting guys on a cheap, no money deal who are hungry to prove themselves. Yeah. Once they've done that, then you can, hey, you want big money? Good, go let some other poor sap spend it on you.
Yeah, because we've got this guy coming in.
Yeah, you should get to a point where you're almost excited for somebody to get hurt, not in a negative way, but to see the next guy that comes up at a cheaper price, so you can then move on from the expense.
Well, you look at these running backs that Edmonton had. We had Kevin Brown, and everyone thought, oh, we have a great running back, and then he gets dinged up, and like, holy crap, we got something better.
Yeah, and it's not even Javon Leake. It was Javon Leake for a bit who was great, and that's who's Justin Rankin.
Yeah, exactly.
Who didn't get the job? Like they had to move on from him because of the numbers game, but then he gets into chance to prove himself.
Yeah. Well, Darrell Walker, I'll never forget his first game with the Edmonton Eskimos at the time. Edmonton was out in Montreal getting set to play. Dusty and I were doing the Green and Gold kickoff show at the time at 12:60. And it was announced Darius Bowman's going to miss the game, and Darrell Walker's being promoted from the practice roster to the active roster. And I think he had 11 catches in that game.
Jeez.
And then it was like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And the rest is history. He kept playing for the Eskimos, went to Tampa for a bit, came back, won a Grey Cup here. That's to your point. The injuries. There's no sport
it's a blessing
like football
and a curse
with the next man up.
Yeah, to be good in a sense and command what you deserve. But in this league, especially if you carry that Canadian passport, you might get a little more longer run at it because of your...
The only fear I have with the signing of Canadians in free agency sometimes is, are you overpaying a little bit just because they're Canadian?
Yep.
And maybe you're overvaluing them a little bit, but
if it allows you in certain positions to be more flexible in others, then
and I look at some of these Canadians and like Mechie type thing. He's just a good player. I don't care about passport and that. Those are like some of these.
No,
players.
I know. Yeah,
I know. Like where there's some.
It's credit to him that you don't.
Who was the one that the Elks? I think it was Tillman brought him in from Hamilton. It was some receiver. I'd have to look him up, but I remember they just overpaid him. But it was a Canadian spot. So Eric Tillman thought, I'm going to overpay this Canadian. And you're like, well, this
as a receiver.
Work. Yeah. I think it was like a T or something. That's the only fear I have with the Canadians in free agency, but this doesn't look like that. Kelvin Van Dasselaar is faithful kicking field goals for us this year. Dean Faithful is not signed by the Edmonton Elks. So the reason Kevin Brown is a Toronto Argonaut as well is any player on a practice roster in the last regular season game of the Canadian Football League or last game of the season for any team immediately becomes a free agent. Dean Faithful was that. He's now a free agent. Kevin Brown was that. So he's a free agent. That's why he was able to sign with Toronto back in like December or something like that.
But let's not kid ourselves. Dean Faithful's kicking percentage was awful.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
They needed to go improve. I always forget his last name. There was the Vincent...
The one that played in the last game of the year?
Yeah. I always have to yell at Hernan. What's his name again? I wonder if they'll give him a shot, probably a little bit cheaper. And Vincent Blanchard.
Yeah.
I know the previous management loved him and thought he was really good. So we will see. The other thing you have to worry about with the kicking for the Elks, it depends what Jake Julian does. If Jake Julian doesn't make it with Tampa, he comes back. You got a punter, you're looking for a kicker. If Jake Julian doesn't come back, You need to
You
fill
need
both
both.
positions, and maybe the Elks look to go for someone who can handle both duties.
Well, and I'm sure same thing when they're doing the scouting trips down to the States, they can find a guy that can put it through the uprights down there pretty easily. I would think. And they
should
have
be
the
able to find
opportunity to
someone.
get lots of American in that position.
You got to
When
get an
got
Aussie.
Yeah, like when you've got a Canadian starting quarterback and you got the brother starting in the
Yeah.
defensive backfield. I mean, you just have so much flexibility on the ratio now.
And that's why, like, traditionally rosters of back, Canadians can only play O-line or whatever. If you're starting Canadians now in your defensive secondary and a quarter and either, then you have an option, as you said, to bring in big, beefy
Yeah.
American dudes who you can plop them on that line, 7 foot or whatever they are, 500 pounds, and
Yeah.
just run, block, and pass protect, and away you go.
And does Joel DeBlanco get a? Does he?
He's another one that gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
but,
at
such
linebacker,
high
right?
praise for him too, and
Right.
he's another year older now. And
Yeah, the only thing, and this is also a little bit with Vince Blanchard for the kicker, that's old management. I don't know if Ed, like, what does Ed think of him?
maybe not.
What does Mark Killam think of him?
That's true.
And that's the one thing we have to look at is that from last year to this year, brand new people running this team, different eyes, different thought processes. So maybe they view him more as a guy who could start. Maybe they view him as guys like best. He's just going to be a special teamer for us.
I'm so excited for exactly what you just said because the last guys, the way they screwed over Trey Ford, they obviously don't have the vision that I want to see as a fan. And so these new guys, what they're doing so far has already got me excited. And that's maybe where I'd like to see what you guys think too, is we talked about the marketing that they can do with the Twins, but does this not get the fan base excited? Now, like Trey's the guy, now all these other guys are signed. Like I have in my mind 40,000 first
Wow.
game this year.
Wow.
I think that's.
They open up the top
I
hole.
think that there's going to be that much kind of excitement around the team this year, right from the get go.
It's bullish, but why not? I think every fan that's chirped in terms of who they want to sign as GM, player, water bottle filler, they've addressed every single personal need that every fan that we've seen come across the nasty chat or the inbox or whatever. So
Except for the name.
yeah, but even that's taken again. Just win, baby. I mean, that you see with the Commanders too. I mean, if you have a successful and then curse whatever, but I think outside of that, everything they've done every move, which they shouldn't. I mean, the fans don't necessarily make but every move they've made have seemed to align with the fan base.
Yeah.
and name the position, name the whatever it is. It's been lockstep with what a majority, if not all of the fan base has wanted in that position, whether it's filling GM. The coach was a bit maybe out of a left field.
We all thought Rick.
In terms of what
I
people
remember
expected.
we were talking
But
with
once-
Ed Hervey,
yeah.
and it was like the assumption, like, well, we think it's going to be Rick to him, and it's like,
But
well,
once it was made,
This is
people
better, like,
came around quite
yeah.
quickly. I think. Yeah. So as I said, a little bullish, but I mean, hey, why not? At
even
this point,
to
why
the-
not?
To the name part of this, they've now made it known that it's the double lead that's
Yeah.
prominent now.
Exactly.
The uniforms are being
Yeah.
changed.
And the
numbers
logoing.
And
It's-
the logoing.
That letter front, that
Yeah.
type head that they have.
So even if they're not going all the way to going back to the old name at this moment, they're at least they've took the Elks logo, thrown it aside. You'll probably see it a little bit here, but it's the double E that's back. It's the
Yeah.
double E that's going to be prominent. So even that, to a degree, I
Yeah.
think is going to win some. It's not going to win everyone over, but it's won some little few more people going, this is the logo I want to see.
And I said too, if you had an expansion team with that Elks branding, that branding came in at probably the worst time historically that this franchise has ever seen. So
Yeah.
Fair.
I mean, that was highly unfortunate. But I think if you take it on its own, and you never had a football team, and you said, here's an expansion team, but that, I mean, viewing it from that point of view, I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, yeah, going away from something traditional, and doing it when they did it, I mean, that was the Presson years were,
Well, and really quickly, even though there's the callbacks to the Eskimos, and who knows what happens a couple years down the road, there's a lot of old merchandise that needs to be moved out too, with that Elk stuff on
Yeah,
it.
for sure. And who wants it?
Well, yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's-
for 1/3 the cost.
One thing, I got a lot of prospects gear as they'll be
Yeah.
changing their name, and that's the thing is down the line you're going to be seeing at thrift shops for 3 times the price.
Yeah.
So get it now,
Zacticum will be buying it.
box
for
it all up,
shops.
yeah, exactly, and sell it for triple the price.
Now to Murray's 40,000 at the first home game, which I think would be great. It's on. So, like you were saying, Rick, the moves align with what the fans seem to want. People are happy. Now show up. Go support the team. Show up. Go there. Spend the 20,
They've put
bucks
up
per ticket.
their end of the bargain.
I wish I was as optimistic as Murray about 40,000.
Yeah, it's a big number.
Here, it could be very doable.
Sure.
The right things need to align. So they open up their season in BC. You need a win.
Yeah.
If you start with a loss, that's going to hurt. They do get a bye week 2, which is just concerns me because you get that win week 1. Maybe there's that extra buzz, but maybe they go out and have a nice dominating 28-17 win, and now the Elks have 2 weeks to promote.
Yeah.
You also need the Oilers to kind of be out, like in terms of, even if it's a Stanley Cup that's done, there needs to be a little bit of separation.
Yeah.
The parade has already happened, or whatever. Like if the Oilers are going into Game 6 the next night or something.
I understand that, but I also don't agree with it because I just think it should be still a party atmosphere in the city. In terms of
I
Edmonton
agree,
sports.
but what I know of this market,
I know, but you know what I'm saying.
I
you know
agree
what I'm
with
saying.
you.
It should be.
It is almost like you can make it an Oilers like pregame the day before.
Yeah,
Let's go party at the Elks game, Elks Owls tonight.
It's a party
because
machine.
The Oilers are going to go finish off the Panthers tomorrow in Game 6. Let's make this a full
Support
thing.
the city.
That would be great.
And this is also a Thursday, which is
And the opposition too, as I'm peeking at your
Montreal?
phone here. Well, I know it's a historical, but if it was a Western team, more of a grudgy,
Saskatchewan,
right?
Saskatchewan is here, yeah.
Bombers.
Yeah.
But if, let's say the Elks win against BC. Let's say the Oilers win the Stanley Cup on June 12th. So people are feeling good about themselves through that bye week.
That's 12 days earlier than Game 7 last year.
Well, I'm being maybe a little optimistic.
Maybe they just got into the Stanley Cup final.
Let's say 25 degrees forecasted for that Thursday. Maybe there's a way to sell that.
Tailgate would be sizzling.
I have
Ooh.
I tell you.
Succulent meats.
I have a lunch meeting next week with some people from the Elks. And it's kind of the off-field stuff. So I'm going to get a really big update in that lunch meeting about what's going off the field. Like they've told me, like, this is what's going on is crazy. So we're seeing it on the field right now. What the roster is starting to take shape. But I'm going to hear next week a lot about the other stuff that's going on. And he just said, like, it's so busy what we're like. And you have to know that with the new president coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, he's doctored up the football side, which we're all hearing about because that's what public. But now when I'm going to hear it, but then obviously they have a plan.
Yeah.
And how they're
There's lots
roll
of
all this out.
dimensions, and it's off the field and all that, and
Yeah.
and I think too, and I know he didn't mean to do it, but the whole driving of the fire engine into that Stampeder bed, that's stuff of legend,
It
and
is.
that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And I think I know it wasn't on purpose or anything, but brilliant play.
Yeah.
You got to own that. Put it on a shirt. Yeah,
I think they did.
good.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
That's, you got to have a
created
poster of that or
an in-game contest with, like, they were like, you're Larry and you're driving the double E truck, and it was like a race.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they did it like 2 weeks later. I thought it was hilarious. Stamp Hater, very adamant, wanted to get this in via the Paris Jewelers inbox. Texted to us like 4 times. That is quite the haul the Elks have done in free agency. I guess not paying all your money to a QB and a receiver allows for more depth elsewhere. Very exciting. Stamp Hater.
Great point.
It's been for Elks fans. It's been a near perfect offseason.
Yeah.
Like it's just
That's a good way to describe it.
I'll extend this back to new owners or ownership in town now, to Chris Morris, to Ed Hervey, to Mark Killam, to JC Sherritt and Jordan McSimic as the DCs, the
Don't forget
coordinators.
Jason
Demetrius
Tucker.
Maxey.
Maxey brings the deal, and Tucker's back.
Yeah.
Then you go, okay, Trey's extension, Morgan's extension. Those two are massive.
Yeah.
Just right there.
Yeah.
Those two are the big ones. And now we got to say Trey, not Ford even. Like it has to only be Trey, because then bringing in Terrell, which like Matt Hyman, I think, asked at the beginning of the show, like how much collusion was there prior to that one, and
Tampering. I
There's
think.
tampering.
That's the word we
How much
use.
tampering
there's-
before the tampering window?
No kidding.
but with that one, like I think when we had Trey on in the Hangout, he was saying that his brother's living with him right now in Edmonton, and they were doing a little bit of working
Well.
on stuff, and it's like, well,
You think they don't talk, eh? And that was like,
there's a little bit of tampering no matter what, but that one, I'm sure once Trey got signed, like,
Yeah.
hey, we should play together.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly.
Hey, don't
Congrats,
you want
brother.
I'm in Edmonton. You're not signed. What do you think of playing here in Edmonton?
And is
sure
that
there's a fair
tampering?
bit.
That's players talking to players.
That's just
really-
brothers.
Yeah.
That's not even
Define
players. That's just full
tampering.
brothers.
Yeah.
That's mom would be mad at them if they didn't have a nice relationship talking about their lives together.
And you don't think that mom was in on that? Hey, you can make it a little easier on me to, only cheer. I have to watch one game every week and know who I'm cheering for if you guys, so you're not playing against each other.
Don't have to fly to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Rip City Step says plus 9,700 for Oilers and Elks Cup wins parlay.
Wow.
But this is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage, Canada storage experts, more than 2 decades at helping Canadians through life's transition. Right now, it was, let me double check that because it was that good. 4 weeks free on all units, 100% Canadian storage, sentinel.ca for more information and to find a convenient location nearest you. I forgot to throw that one a little bit earlier.
Very good.
Tom Gazzola, Murray McCourt, Lieutenant Eric, Matt Iwanyk with you here on the Hangout. As right now we're into the CFL tampering window discussion.
Yeah, Nisky Glass, baby.
The Edmonton Elks doing a lot of business yesterday. One of the few teams that did a lot of yesterday. Once again, free agency officially opens up on Tuesday. So there's time for some of these deals to potentially fall apart. Last year, we saw a couple of deals not come to fruition for whatever reason, including medicals. But we will see next Tuesday and throughout the course of the few days after that, most of these, if not all of these signings, being official by the Edmonton Elks. Farhan Lalji earlier today did post some of the, I think it was him, some of the bigger names that are still sitting out there when it comes to free agency. You got Kenny Lawler, Gino Lewis, a couple Canadian offensive linemen, Sean McEwen and Liam Dobson, a few defensive backs, Marcus Sales, Damon Webb, Manny Rugamamba. You got Kadeem Carey, you got Keon Hatcher, you got Stephen Dunbar. So still some names out there. We'll see where they go. Kenny Lawler, Gino Lewis will be two very interesting ones for me because 3-4 years ago, they would have been considered the top 2 receivers in the game. Right now, they're still the top 10.
But the highest paid. That's the problem. It's a blessing and a curse to be successful in that.
And we saw Tim White, I believe it was, with Hamilton last year.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 2 years or last year. That Ed Hervey is the GM of the Ticats, and that organization went, you want to be paid? Okay, go get it somewhere else. Went and looked around everywhere else. No one wanted to give him money. Came back.
Yeah.
That I'm not going to hold. I'm still not 100% ready to say that Gino's not coming back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, if you're Gino and you're looking at the Stamp situation, you reunite with VA, or the Elks give you an offer. It's not $325,000 or whatever he was making.
Let's say it's $225,000.
That's okay. You're missing out on a lot of money, but that's
right. But no one's giving him $3.
Well, yeah.
Right.
I don't think.
Good. I doubt
let's
it.
say let's say Calgary offers $275.
Why would you if nobody else is?
And Calgary's saying we're going to give you $275, and Edmonton saying we'll give you $225.
I think he'd ask Edmonton to split the difference, and he'd come back here.
And Ed wouldn't split the difference, and he'd go to Calgary then, if that's the full case.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing where you have to now evaluate fully. If you're the last few years you went and you made your money, you're going to be taking a pay cut here. Do you want to take a little bit of a bigger pay cut and get a better chance of winning a Grey Cup potentially?
Right.
Or do you want to still make as much as you can? Maybe have a shot. Like, who knows still what Calgary's going to go do.
Mm-hmm.
But you've also hurting that organization a little bit. That maybe you look back on Edmonton and go, wow, if I did take a little less, maybe this team would have been just a slight smidge better.
Well, like the one offensive lineman that they re-signed, they actually released him
Brett
Boyko,
Boyko.
so he could go and
Test the water,
see what you can get.
And they saved money on a bonus that he was out on the Saturday.
Yeah. So
How much?
$25,000, I believe.
But I think that he'd get maybe one in signing, like they'd make that right probably.
Well,
in a
it's also
sense.
the Canadian Football League. I won't be surprised if there's a little bit of...
he
goes into his vehicle and also...
Here's
there's
a
an
Toyota
envelope of-
Tercel.
Yeah.
You know?
You
Wyatt
like
Tercel.
I would
Great choice. though.
CFL, you know?
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
But then, like, I don't know who else...
Brett Boyko in a Toyota Tercel. Hey, there's an image for you.
Like, I heard a rumble that Toronto was interested in Gino, but John Murphy doesn't spend money like that.
John Murphy. Yeah, but Clemens doesn't mind a splash, eh? He
I know,
likes
but
to.
they let AJ walk last year.
Yeah.
They let a bunch of players walk last year.
And
This year, they're letting a lot of players walk this year.
Yeah.
They're letting Kadeem Carey, it seems like, walk right now.
Yeah.
So they really going to go spend money on Gino Lewis?
That have it,
Or
I guess.
Kenny Lawler?
Well, because neither of those guys have been tied to anything. I mean, maybe they're finding, oh shoot, I'm not.
Sure, no,
getting
totally.
The number's not what I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be, right? And so they got to kind of reevaluate and circle back. And
Are you
some
surprised
negotiating, right?
Dalton Schoen's back in Winnipeg? I know there were a lot of rumblings of him maybe going elsewhere and then bringing
Ottawa
back
was
Lawler.
rumbling.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked that he went back, but
I was actually more shocked that there was rumblings that maybe him and Winnipeg weren't, that there was like almost a split. I was actually more surprised by that.
I was surprised at it too. I kind of rate him as a pretty decent receiver, but I'm surprised that he went back after those rumblings, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm intrigued what the rumblings would have been caused
In BC, I don't know who they have right now. They used to have Dominic Rhymes, I think, is well released by the Red Blacks. So he will
He's
be hitting
no
the
longer.
market.
Yeah.
But BC used to have the crop of American receivers that were just...
Where's Lucky Whitehead?
He was Winnipeg last year, but
Right.
didn't do much.
No.
His career's...
He's on the back
Who
nine.
does BC have right now as receivers?
Because Hatcher's released. They released Hollins last week. Like, they're going to have to rebuild that
Stanley
department.
Berryhill III,
Yeah.
Devin Carter, Stacy Zumenzi, Javon Katoy, Aiden Eberhard, Okian Hatcher still listed. He's not there.
No.
Braden Lenius, they brought him in. Justin McInnes.
Well, McInnes would be the one I think they'd have to...
McInnes and Katoy
Circle back
are the
on.
two. And they did like Berryhill last year.
Yeah.
So maybe he takes a more prominent role with that team. They did bring back James Butler in the running back. Yeah, they haven't really just done much. We'll see what
And Rourke took a haircut
Pitt's
on
gonna
his... They restructured his deal.
was
too,
it a
right?
haircut?
Was that what it was?
Well, it's a restructure. I don't know. I never know what that means.
200 grand in that marketing money. So
they're
it's like
getting the money from somewhere else. Yeah.
So it's
Two
like
Toyota Tercels.
brand new.
A fleet.
A fleet, yeah.
I like the names, and I want to know where Kadeem's going. I want to know where Gino and Kenny Lawler and Keon Hatcher are going. Those are the four.
How
big
many
ones.
of those though would you take a punter on again at their price and what they're demanding? Because again, running backs too, I don't mind getting that from within and getting a younger, hungry guy. Receivers,
Well, I'd be intrigued from Kadeem Carey because I don't know like how much more he's going to demand. Because I loved the move last year when Toronto brought him in. When Toronto walked away from AJ Ouellette, I went, Kadeem Carey is probably a great alternative because when healthy, he's a top back, and you're probably getting him cheaper. Now he's probably after the season he had looking for a little bit more money.
Yeah.
But if I was Toronto, I'd keep him over Kevin Brown.
Kadeem Carey.
Yeah, I would have kept him over Kevin Brown. And I like Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown was a
good.
great running back.
1,000 yard.
But you could also argue that he's, especially after the last season, maybe a little bit got an injury concern, and I don't know.
some of them are
I
just
don't know
here.
who pays though Kadeem Carey now because I don't know how many open running back spots there are.
Well, the seats, the music slows down and the seats get filled, and you're like, why am I gonna?
There's only
Unless-
nine
got-
teams. There's 9 starting running backs.
Who does Montreal have?
Some have two.
Yeah.
Where's Stanback?
Stanback,
Is he back in Montreal?
or did he go to who? Did he not go to Ottawa?
Is that what it was?
Because he got released by BC, did he not?
Yeah.
So Montreal
He signed the
has-
next day, though. Yeah, I think it was Ottawa.
why can't, they won't let me sort this. Because I know they have Walter Fletcher, I believe.
Fletcher, that's the one they got. Yeah, he's a good back.
Former Elk.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see who else they maybe have on their roster. Oh, Sean Thomas Erlington's there. That guy's still in this league. Good for him. Oh, and Hamilton, he was always just like
Well, good
there for like
passport
3
again.
weeks.
Right.
He's
He
Canadian, right?
crushed 2 weeks or whatever, and
Yeah.
then he'd get hurt or something, and he'd be gone. And I think Lucas always liked to take him in their fantasy.
He walked so Litre could run.
Lee Trey.
Who re-signed in Hamilton himself.
Exactly.
So Stanback's the other one I was looking for. Yeah, he's in Ottawa.
Oh, yeah.
So Montreal, maybe. Kadeem Carey. Hamilton, no. Winnipeg, no. Saskatchewan, no. Edmonton, no. BC, no. Maybe Calgary as well. Maybe a return to Calgary. But
Calgary
he
had all
also
the
said
scraps.
things against Calgary
Yeah, I know.
going into the Grey Cup.
But didn't the defensive lineman as well, Florian? He went back there. Like a lot of them spoke negatively
And
about
then
it. Then
when-
he went back, but I still
It's-
like the no hot meals.
Oh.
Like I mean, I just that threw me.
Riders have signed Tavon Campbell. Well, re-signed Tavon Campbell, I believe.
Okay.
So that's the other news. Yeah, hopefully there's a little bit more news that comes today with some of those bigger names.
It's a great list still of potential.
There's good-
yeah.
there's impact
high-priced-
players.
Absolutely.
There's impact players. So,
But who's gonna blink first?
who has the money fully again? This CFL. Give us something so we could be a little more informed with these type of
Exactly.
things.
Let's get tampering.
Also, I'm intrigued what Winnipeg does still, because this is the last.
This is the
hurrah.
last. Exactly. Yeah.
But when do you start? Like, what does the rebuild look like in Winnipeg? Is it a quick retooling
Oh, I hope
and you
it's
could switch, or is it a drop off for a few years to hopefully come back up? When do you certain players like Terrell Ford would be part of a new Bombers team?
So what if Trey?
But they're not there.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Right,
Even-
like it's Zach. How much? Like who are they bringing in as a backup quarterback in Winnipeg?
And
Because
Strebler,
that might be your starting
and
quarterback.
Strebler's the
moving
only free agent, correct? I think in terms of quarterbacks.
Is he a free agent?
I think he was, yeah. And I mean, whatever about him, but you're right. I mean, what's the heir apparent there? Because it's funny how the Elks won on kind of both fronts. They got Terrell for that secondary,
Yep.
but they also didn't lose Trey, to which, again, that was a big, perhaps if he's going to join his brother the other way, he goes to Winnipeg, and then Winnipeg uses him for like the Doncic to the Lakers type of thing.
Right.
This is your future now for the next decade or whatever. So Edmonton wins on both those fronts. They get Terrell and they keep Trey. I mean, that's a win-win on both sides of the ball.
And their O-line just is older. We saw the shot some of they took
This
last
is it.
year. Like
This is it, baby.
Big
Like,
Hill's now
this
gone,
is their home
and I
Grey
know
Cup.
they've dealt with him being hurt for a few years. This is the big one.
They're looking to make it 4 in a row.
But where is Winnipeg even at
5
organizationally?
in a row. Of losses or whatever?
Wait.
Consecutive losses?
Oh, losses.
Yeah. That's the
yeah,
streak.
they've gone there. They've been there
that's the
4.
streak, yeah.
1, 2, lost 2. So it's 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Went it?
They're trying to make it 3 in a row? I think it's
4 in
trying
a
to make it 4 in a row. Haven't they lost 3? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, because Toronto, Montreal.
Yeah. That's the streak.
Jeez.
Everybody talks about their
Yeah,
Grey
they've
Cup
been there
appearance
5
streak.
times.
Yeah. It's
So
the
this
Grey
is
Cup
going for
losing
6.
streak. Yes.
But 4 in a row.
They're giving the Bills a run for their money here, and I'm loving it.
When you look at Winnipeg organizationally, when 2 of their high-end people in their front office are now GMs in other organizations.
That loss to Hamilton.
Yeah.
Ted
Gavia.
Yeah.
That he was big in player procurement, and he was
Yeah.
responsible for unearthing a lot of. So that's you're
gonna,
right.
That's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
They got
And
Donnie Mack.
the relationship
Unless did he not leave?
that he has with a lot of the players might pull some players away from
That's
Winnipeg.
the internal bleeding that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So that could be dangerous for them.
Yeah.
No remorse, hey Rick. You were smiling with glee when you were talking about.
I'm
their
like
downfall.
a Cheshire cat eating a
Yeah.
fresh herring.
Sorry, Matt Hyman. How dare you? Last hurrah.
Well, no. It's not opinion based. This is just they're hosting the Grey Cup. They have a lot of guys long in the tooth.
There is a point where Zach Collaros they have to move on from Zach Collaros.
That's just how
and
it
I
is,
know
yeah.
I saw it from a few Bombers fans throughout this season going, they wanted it this season.
Yeah.
They wanted Collaros to go
The
this
way it was
season.
going early on.
They wanted him gone immediately almost. And it's how much more does Zach have? And Zach is not a Grey Cup performer necessarily. When you look at their 2 Grey Cup wins, the first one, Andrew Harris, was brilliant against Hamilton and Calgary. And then when they beat Hamilton in Hamilton, Collaros had a good game. But Tim White took that rouge,
Yep.
which allowed it to go overtime and all of that.
It's the
and then
Tiger
you go to
Cats.
these 4. I forgot what the stat was. But his last 4 Grey Cup appearances, there's not a lot of TD passes thrown. There's a lot of interceptions.
A lot of interceptions. Yeah.
Cut his hand, came back with the glove this past one.
I don't know why
It
they
was
put him
over.
back in that game.
I know.
I mean,
I get putting him in, but then
Well,
once you saw it,
oh
they
my
should have
God.
pulled him sooner.
No, loyalty be damned in that. Like, you want a guy in there that can at least throw the damn ball.
Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, like that's where it's like, what's the retooling going to look like in Winnipeg? Or is this like, the LA Kings for a number of years, it was run it back. Dustin Brown, all these guys, we're going to keep signing them. And then eventually it just, guys can't do it anymore. You're stuck. You're locked in. How much is that loyalty going to play here to some of these guys?
Fair point.
Their bubble might burst this year. They might not be as good as.
Matt Hyman says, "Trust me, I'm worried about the future." So
to that, Murray, if it wasn't for wind, there's a chance that Saskatchewan Roughriders are playing for the West Final hosting. In
And
the last
Montreal.
game against the
Thank
wind
you for
against
bringing that up.
Montreal.
Thank you for
Because
bringing that up.
if Winnipeg ends up winning that game, changes how Saskatchewan goes plays Calgary in the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember watching it full, but I'm assuming there was resting of players and stuff
It
because
was-
that was all locked
yeah,
in.
yeah.
But if Saskatchewan has a chance to go win the West because Winnipeg loses to Montreal, that changes how they go about that game. If the Riders win that, they get the West.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which
So,
this year
After
was
the
huge.
number of years of how much Winnipeg has just, the Division Y was next to their name like after Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get it to their last game of the season this year. The door is completely open for
Yeah.
the Lions, the Riders, and the Elks at this moment. I got to take the Stamps out because they weren't a good team last year.
No.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen them really do anything outside of bringing VA to change my opinions on them. The other 3 teams in the West, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there to take.
Yep.
If you really want to go take it, it's there. You can't. It's not the big, bad, scary Blue Bombers as they were at the early part of this decade.
Exactly.
So we'll see how that fully plays out. But the West is going to be fun. But then Toronto's decimated again.
But they'll probably.
And that's the
they
John
always
Murphy way,
seem
though.
to. Yeah.
Speaking of the scouting of that,
Yeah, I'm telling you,
John
that's how
Murphy
you do
and
it.
that team find players.
It's a CFL recipe for success.
John Murphy did it in Calgary. He did it in Saskatchewan with Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Now he's doing it in Toronto.
He might be a prick, but he can find players.
Terrible person,
Terrible person.
but he's one of the best at finding them. And it's pinball can get the credit as he does.
But he
it's
does
John
put a
Murphy.
shine on it all.
It-
Murphy can hide in the shadows and do,
which is probably what John Murphy
absolutely.
wants.
It's a great PR.
He doesn't want anyone talking
It's a
about it.
great
He's probably
PR
mad that we're
scheme.
talking about him right now, but
No,
he'll go
no.
find you the players. He'll be cutthroat, cut players, let people walk.
And Clemens
But-
just smiles and everybody's like, "Hey, it's pinball. It's pinball."
Yeah. You guys don't do in here today. Trey, how you doing?
What was
You
the
know?
story? Yeah, the Trey Ford thing when he
man.
was courting him or whatever.
End of the season, the Elks went on the Rouge, Jake Julian punt. Anyway, we're talking to Trey post game, and there's like a little glass door that leads to the hallway. You can go into the Elks locker
Like a
room, or you
window?
can- yeah, there's
to do
glass
tampering
doors.
through.
Perhaps very similar to that
That's
one
what
in studio
pinball
here.
was doing.
Just like that. Oh, white frame as well, I believe. Anyway, and then you go down the hallway. It takes you to the visitor locker room in Commonwealth. And all of a sudden, we're doing the interview with Trey, and Pinball is like banging on the glass. And he's banging, and Trey like looks, and he's like, oh, okay. And then finally, Pinball's like, he opens the door, and Trey stops talking, and Pinball just goes, I love you. And I was like, uh-oh, he's going to try to sign Trey. And I was like, that's Pinball.
But pinball, yeah, he's good cop.
He's
He can do it, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's pinball."
very
It's-
likable. And we all
Exactly.
just started laughing.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe that's a bad omen. But it was all for naught, obviously, and which is great. But yeah, I remember seeing that, and I'm like, what is going on? I think that
pressing
is,
his face against the window and blowing his
and
cheeks up like,
he's like, hey, Trey, hey. And then he opens it, I love you.
I love
And
you.
then Trey laughs and looks at him. I'm like, uh-oh. He's going to look good in double blue next year. I don't like it.
Meanwhile, Murph's behind the scenes getting the paperwork. Like that's the whole, yeah.
Like a ninja.
That's how they work. Yeah.
So there's that. Didn't come to fruition, though.
I really hope we have a year where QBs are healthy in the CFL because it's a good, stable group across the Canadian Football League. From Nathan Rourke in BC, Trey here, VA down south in Calgary, Trevor Harris.
When he's healthy,
he's
on.
He was
he is
awesome
in.
last
He is
year.
in the hit of his career. But
Zach Collaros, when he's healthy and he's going, he could be great. You got Bo had an amazing MOP season last year.
yeah,
Maybe Drew Brown could be that guy. Chad Kelly, just stop being an idiot. And to see what Davis Alexander could do.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is like a nice crop that we're getting into. And then if Saskatchewan, Hamilton, and Winnipeg could find that next guy
Jake Mayer.
because it's close, maybe it is him.
That's why they signed him.
Yeah.
But I mean,
And
6 or 7 go down in the NFL. 1 goes down in the CFL, and that's kind of your ratio and how it affects. As you mentioned, 9. There's only 9.
Nine,
It's tough
yeah.
to hide if you get 2 quarterbacks that are hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty glaring.
I'm excited about Davis Alexander.
I'm very excited.
I think
about
I'm
him.
really high on him.
I would have loved him in green and white.
When there was still question marks of Trey Ford with Edmonton,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
I
sure.
could have lived with Davis Alexander as the replacement.
He's a
Yeah.
gamer. That's
Mhm.
whatever. It's gamer. You
Like
want that
video games?
attached to your. Well, no, but that's Trey Ford.
Montreal didn't lose a beat when Cody went down last year. And Davis
I'd argue they
Alexander
were a
came in.
little. Well, I mean, I know
Yes.
that he was coming up. Cody was having a pretty good season to start,
He would have been the MOP,
but
it was also one like there wasn't a lot to choose from last year
Right.
at that point in the season.
Alexander, when he, holy hell, put Portland State on the map. I'll tell you that much. That football program.
Who are they?
Exactly. I don't know.
No, I forgot their. I could see their
Pioneersmen or
picture.
something?
I could see their
The
picture.
Pioneersmen.
I'm just taking a wild stab at it.
The Vikings.
Vikings, of course.
They're the
Yeah.
Vikings.
Oh,
Close enough.
Forgot that one. Did you?
Vikings are
Vikings
pioneers,
football.
but-
What is their
name.
logo? PS.
Oh,
my
P.S.
that looks like it was
See
made
that?
in clip art.
God. That-
It was
God.
Big Sky Conference.
Big Sky.
The Big Sky. Who else? They could produce.
Tell you what, it's no Mountain West.
The Big Sky will produce CFL teams
That's
or players.
just it.
I'll
And
say
that's
that.
where you want to do a
Members
CFL
of Eastern Washington,
2.0.
University of Idaho, Idaho State,
Eastern
University of
Washington,
Montana.
Mike Riley.
Montana State, Northern Arizona, University of Northern Colorado, Portland State, California State, Weber State. There is your
Who came from Montana or Montana State? There's another quarterback.
currently Dave
Yeah,
Dickinson's
sure.
Montana.
Yeah.
It's in Montana.
There may be a few that have come from
I think
Montana.
he's a
but
Grizzly. I'd love to go see a game in Montana.
we should do a trip to
Yeah,
all
Montana.
of those schools. The whole Mountain West or Big Sky.
Check them off.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind doing that.
Like 2 a year.
It'd be affordable.
get
I'd
to
say the whole
tour.
seat, you can do the tour around the.
You don't hear a
We could
lot
get
of
this-
people saying, "Let's go to Montana."
It's beautiful.
It really is.
It's wide open country, baby.
I went there
It-
a couple
it is.
summers in a
Couple of good golf
row.
courses there.
I know, and it's scenic and all that, but you just don't get
Badlands.
that. Like, we need to go to Great Falls or whatever.
Went a couple summers with the family. It was a lovely, relaxing time.
Where did you go to Pocatello?
Missoula and Helena.
No,
Yeah.
Loved it there. I'd go back. Absolutely. Go
I
watch
love
some Grizzlies
driving
football.
through it, and the stretch of the Rocky Mountains that you go through is beautiful, especially in the summer. It's absolutely pristine and gorgeous. I always ended up with that leg of the drive when we were doing our Gazzola boys golf trips down to Phoenix.
Yeah.
And the guys would be like, "Oh man, look at that mountain! Look at this thing! Is that a bear?" And I'm sitting there like winding at like 50K because it's like this, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice! Look on the road." I'm like, "You bastards! Next time when you use driving, and I can look at this because it really is that
It's
scenic."
you can get away with a lot out there, I'm sure. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
I'm sure there's a lot. Well, there's a lot of
a lot of
mess and
secrets.
stuff. Yeah,
You can,
yeah.
it's-
November 22nd, Montana hosting Montana State at Washington Grizzly Stadium.
That's what you want to get to.
That's
EST on the road?
Battle of Montana.
And where is that in? Helena?
Missoula.
Okay.
Missoula.
And Grey Cup's already over.
Well,
So go to
gas up the
Winnipeg.
bus and let's
That's on the 16th. Come back
maybe
and
get a charter flight.
it's the scouting mission for the Canadian Football
Oh,
League.
my.
We're off to go see the Battle of Montana.
We'll wear a CFL hats.
We'll go get
Yeah,
some of
just-
those
hell yeah.
dusty
Yeah, yeah.
CFL hats.
The generic.
And we're there as the scouts. Probably just tell the schools, we're CFL scouts. And we could get some field passes.
I'm sure.
Perfect.
we could,
Might
yeah.
not be that affordable though, with what's going on in the world. The Canadian
You're
dollar
talking
will be
you're
like,
talking tariff.
yeah, but
yeah.
the
That's
Canadian
not
dollar
till
will be
November.
50
Maybe things are different in November.
Well, maybe we'll see. Hey?
Pocatello is in Idaho. My bad, bud.
Portions of this hour of the EST Hangout, they are brought to you by the High Product Marketing, official merch partner of EST, promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out, highproductmarketing.com. I don't see anything else happening in CFL at this moment. I'm looking.
We're
Everyone's
taking a
still
breather.
quiet.
We're taking a breath.
Everyone's just stunned at what Ed Hervey did.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, whoa, how did Ed do all of this? I will say thank you to Ed for doing that yesterday, to giving us, like when I was planning the tampering, when I remember last year there were signings throughout the week.
Yeah.
But I didn't recall how much what happened on the first day. And for Ed to have just went like, I did this, and this, and for us to
Just
have
a
this
clip.
show planned
Yeah.
today is
All-
perfect.
He did it all on the first day of the tampering window. So how much tampering was he doing before the tampering window began?
Well, that's what I'm
To
saying.
finalize all
No,
that
Tampering
stuff.
This
window never
took
ends
hours.
and it never starts.
It was that
Yeah.
tampering window opened at 10 a.m. There was no signings until about like Terrell Ford's first was like at like 12:30.
So there was 9 signings.
Yeah,
9 guys.
but he was allowed to talk to Boyko and Niles Morgan because they're
Right.
his guys.
That's fair.
But I think there were some BC Lions fans, and maybe it was JC Abbott. There were a few. I think somebody mentioned that in the nasty chat, there was some saltiness around the beard thing. People were thinking there too that there was some tampering going. A few of the no, I know, but it's just it is the Ed Hervey tampering window.
Yes.
That's what it all gets birthed out of. So it is
Because-
funny that he comes over with a big kabong on day one of the tampering window opened up.
The
To which
thing-
I think it opened when Mike Clemens pressed his face against the window down at Cumberland.
Unofficially, yes.
It never ends and it never
No, you're always
begins.
hustling.
It's always the tampering
It's such
window.
a
right?
small
Like-
league.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something. And so the story of the tampering window was years ago when Ed, for those that don't remember, signed Odell Willis from Winnipeg, or was it Saskatchewan? I can't remember where he's coming from.
One of the
Winnipeg,
two.
I think. yeah.
Free agency opened at 10 o'clock, 10:01 the press release, or like 10:03 the press release came out. The Elks have signed Odell Willis. They had a full press
30
release
seconds of
with
negotiation.
quotes, full negotiation, all done, and everyone's like,
Lightning speed.
What is going on here? There's no like. How do you sign 3 minutes into tampering or into the free agency?
Very efficient.
And then that led to this tampering window where teams get to speak a week prior. And again, it ends on Sunday. Then teams get a 48-hour window to renegotiate with their pending free agents, so they can go back and try to negotiate them back.
What do we
And
call
then
that
free agents-
48-hour period? Brought to you by Marks or something. Like, it's got to be like the.
Well, the curtain window. Because
Is that what it
we
is?
put
Yeah.
the curtains on the window, blocking out the. So we got the tampering window, so you could look through
the screen door.
But then we need
Yeah.
to block the window.
Exactly. I want them all named and all
The
sponsored.
shutter window.
Sure. Yeah.
Because we're shuttering it
Yeah,
down
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
But
And
it's-
then next Tuesday, 10 o'clock Mountain Time in the morning, that's when CFL Free Agency does open. So teams then could start signing people. And if all this is the case, the Elks will throw it that day. And the course of the next few days, will officially announce those signings.
So
which
then
should
it's
be a lot of
okay
fun.
for at 10:01 there to be a press release with 9 signings.
There should be,
Yeah, that's okay.
based on what I gather,
Okay.
because you can negotiate it all now. That you can have the contracts written up and go, here, sign this. We're good to go.
It's one of the many things that make the league great.
So how do you
Unique.
email or fax or whatever 9 contracts out in 1 minute to
Well,
get the signatures?
Giving
yeah?
somebody a Toyota Tercel and the paperwork that involves that takes longer than,
I hope
You
the
gotta-
Elks are smart enough.
Fully
and
loaded.
I think they are. They will space it out over the course of 2 or 3 days, all the signings.
Yeah.
You announce Terrell Ford at 10:30. You then go announce Jake Serezna at 1.
Do you
The
do that
next
one first?
day,
Or do
you
you
do
save him
Royce
till the end?
Metchie
Keep
or-
people guessing a bit. Keep them sweating.
That's a good question.
Bring out all the Argonaut defensive linemen
You could do that.
together with Demetrius Maxey, like
Do-
or something.
But you space that out to get, so like you don't want Curtis just laughing. I think you want to space it out to get, okay, we'll talk about the first couple of signings. They'll be able to do media, with us and a few other outlets in town. Then the next day you could do a few more and you space that all out properly to stay in the, because also we're into full Four Nations shutdown.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah.
So
Make
like
content.
you have 2 weeks almost in Edmonton. Now, while people may focus a little bit on the Four Nations, you own the city.
Oh, the games are at night though, so during the day, all CFL.
2 signings a day, take you throughout the rest of that week, and then early into the next week, announce a few, dominate the headlines, stay in the news, stay top of mind with Elks fans and the city of Edmonton.
Yep.
Maybe they can plant a couple of rumors that Calgary's trying to sway in there and get Niles Morgan, under the gun, and so it looks good.
Well, Morgan's
Yeah.
done. They've announced that. The press
that
release
one's
came out.
official.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they were allowed to get that
Terrell
one
Ford,
done.
leave that one till the end.
Yeah,
No need to be so quick. If
Exactly.
you've got it all, if you've
Right.
just
yeah, but if you plant those rumors out there, oh no, I think he might be going
hey,
back to Winnipeg.
keep it a little
Oh.
interesting. Yeah. Get that sizzle going.
Yeah.
I just want to add this that Eric talks about the Toyota Tercel. That is a vehicle that has not been manufactured since 1999.
Yeah, I know, but it's not a brand new Tercel.
No.
I'm saying
Is that what you drive?
I know Chrysler Sebring 07. It's got a lot of, but these Tercels, like I'd say, it's got tons of KMs on it. Like it's a
course.
good brand. Like
Toyota,
it'll get you where you
reliable.
need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not new at all. No.
Oh,
That's
no.
no,
But I
of
was
course
like,
not.
You
Why the
drive an
Tercel?
07 vehicle?
I sure do. I have a
It's
CD player in there.
2025.
Runs great.
Tell
4-door sedan gets me. This snow stands no chance.
It's elegant.
It's
Yeah.
very spacious, luxurious.
Nielsen better get off his wallet and get you
Paint's a little-
get you something a little newer.
Well, he's not in. It gets me from point A to point B. I don't let a vehicle determine my social stature or any sort of. It gets me. It does what it needs to do. Pretty
Look at all the
economical on
technology.
the gas.
You could actually get someone with
I
air
don't want technology.
conditioning
I
or
have a
heater.
fridge too. I don't have a smart fridge. I have a fridge that doesn't make ice. I open the door, keeps things cold. I shut the door, keeps things cold. I don't have to hook my phone or my Wi-Fi up to it and door, make me cubed ice.
My brother has that.
I
He
hate
was
it all.
showing me exactly
I
that
want
yesterday. I'm
everything
like, wow.
analog. I want everything because I like my CDs. I still have time, and I like listening to them. I'd love a cassette player in there. That's what I would love.
How
If
about
you,
an
if you know a
8-track?
guy,
8-track.
that's a little before my time.
That's
But
before
cassette
okay.
CD, I would take. But no, I don't want anything. No chips. None of that stuff. Keep it away from me. I'll keep this as long as I can.
What about all the safety features? Lane assist.
Yeah, but when do I have to start?
I drive
paying
10
for the
minutes to and fro
subscription for
Yeah.
those things?
That's just it.
What's interesting
Because now
is
it's like the heated steering wheel for
I
companies.
can't go now. My
Yes,
car's
it's awesome.
updating.
Yeah, but you have to pay for subscriptions. Some car companies have it that if you don't, they're going to
gives me a
charge
headache.
monthly fees so you can use it. It's all connected now, so that
Give me that
eventually
true
it'll be
self.
your cruise. You want your cruise control? That's going to be $3 a month, and if you want those heated steering wheels, it's going to be $2 a month,
Terrible.
and heated seats are $2 a month.
Terrible.
And you want to open up your trunk with a button as opposed to a key in the back? That's going to be an extra money, $1 a month. You're going to have
does
to pay for
that?
subscription. Which car company has the heated steering? That's been. Is it Volvo?
Is it really? When you made the comment about like you don't want chips in your vehicle, Brendan took a note. I don't know if it was in
Did you
regard to
pencil that one down?
Oh,
I just noticed
But
it.
those damn refrigerators, you can't find like a regular fridge anymore. You got to hook your phone up to it and like,
I have got a smart lock. I've got a smart
freaks
thermostat.
me out, man.
I should check it because someone's there right now.
BMW offered heated seat subscription in some countries in 2022, but later had to drop it.
I
It cost
guess so.
$18 per month.
Oh,
So you have heated seats, but no, you've got to pay for it.
that's
Yeah, we're going to
ridiculous.
put this in, but we're not going to activate it unless you pay us more money.
No.
Yeah,
I'm with Eric on some of those
Yeah,
things.
that's
all-
crazy.
When I own
Take
something, I
me
want to
back.
own it. The official drink of the EST Hangout, it is the Finnish long drink legend in 1952. A drink unlike any other sparkling refreshment, real liquor, longdrink.com/Canada, where you can enter your postal code and find a liquor store nearest you with the long drink. You buy that drink, it's yours. There's no subscription on top of that when you're getting the Finnish
Do you
long
need your
drink.
phone to open it, or you
No,
just
you
use
can
your
do it
hand?
all
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, okay.
You don't need any technology with the Finnish long drink. Just the technology to find a liquor store that might have it. Or you could just keep driving around and go in a bunch of liquor stores until you find it. Or if you go to Rogers Place, OEG, they have a deal with OEG to get it there. Yeah, Volvo does have a heated steering wheel. I'm assuming that meant subscription from Bronco Nick. So it's out there. It's slowly starting, Murray.
Unbelievable.
Slowly starting. Does anyone have any other quick comments they want to get to the CFL before I transition to something else?
To Mr. Doncic?
Yes.
I can't wait till the season starts.
Me too.
I'll
it
leave it
June
at
yet?
that. Yeah,
Is it
exactly.
June yet?
May. I'll even take May.
I don't like preseason football. I hate watching preseason
Yeah,
football.
Yeah, but it gets
then you
the-
can play
I know.
golf in the preseason while
Yeah,
they're
I know.
warming up.
Training
Yeah.
camp.
not
May
far away.
sounds delicious.
Hats
We're
and
not
harness.
far away, but it's tomorrow's the last football game until CFL.
Yeah,
That
perfect.
matters. Don't care about the UFL. Don't care.
I
But get me
can't
CFL.
blame
Get
you.
me to the CFL.
Go away,
so,
UFL.
we'll watch the Super Bowl and then it's on the clock. It's not this NFL or CFL draft. It's the CFL just when it comes to their game. Although I do love a good CFL draft.
And can't wait till Super Bowl, to be honest. We're going to have a good time at Century
We'll be at
Sports
Century
Bar.
Casino Sports
Is
Bar
it-
Lounge.
Is it booked up? I know I saw Murray B.
It's getting
is
there.
coming. I've got the whole family coming. My
Dave
Uncle
from
Diego.
Nisku Glass a week ago, or a week and a half ago, he said, LTK, I sent him the email. He goes, we just got some seats at the bar.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I
limited
reached out
seating
to Renee
available.
last week for my folks and brother, and it was like we got one table and then the sitting in the horse track that was left, and that was
horse
early,
track.
the horse track area.
You're taking that, aren't you? You want to be in
I'll
there
be by the ponies a lot. I'll
Throwing
be
tickets
doing
down on the
good
ground.
hits. I'm looking forward to that.
yelling.
It is legitimately a fun event. Like we had so much fun last year.
Well, Renee and her manager have a lot of games set up this year.
Yeah,
Like, they got a
okay,
lot of
good.
stuff cooking there. So
Prizes
I
and
threw my notes over there.
giveaways and
You
drink
can have it.
specials. Food, the $10 and less menu.
the food's outrageous.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Just too bad we don't get the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions.
I kind of said last week, too,
Too
I'm
bad it's not the
tired.
Ravens.
It'll be nice to kind of, as much as I want to see them win, I think the pressure would have been too great. You beat the Chiefs, you get over that hump.
That would
what?
have been your Super Bowl.
To what, losing the Super
That would have
Bowl?
been
You know
your
what I'm
Super
saying? Like
I hear ya.
it seemed a little. Now I'm just like, this is you get that week off now to relax, and now I'm like, I'll just enjoy the event for what it is. They can both
Yeah.
lose or whatever. Full Eagles.
I'm Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm Rob
You want
Lowe
to see the
here.
history? Yeah.
Go NFL.
Yeah.
He's a Cowboys fan.
I'm a Cowboys fan. So,
Right, okay, I get you. I get you there.
Anti-Eagles.
I get you there. Yeah.
I just don't like Philly in most sports, just in general.
Yeah.
And then I'll go with, okay, I'd rather in lesser of two evils here. Because I don't want either, really. I'd rather see this history than
No.
to look back and be like, hey, we saw that. We did witness it type thing.
Speaking of Dallas too, are you a Mavericks fan or is that
Celtics fan.
No,
okay?
Celtics.
you don't.
Yeah.
You're not city specific, but I was trying to.
No.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's,
all,
Sachet
over, all
tonight.
over the planet with my teams. Yeah.
I was not expecting that notification. I looked at my phone and all of a sudden, trade alert, Luka Doncic to the Lakers, saw Anthony Davis, and it was just, whoa. Okay.
We did the "Where were you" exercise when it happened.
I just finished watching the first episode of season 2 of Rings of Power. That's what I was actually doing.
How
And then I
about
looked at
the-
my phone and I had a bunch of texts. My brother texted me, my cousin texted me, Jasmine texted me. You can Dusty, we're the three of us in a little bit of a chat. Those texts came. I I still don't know what to make of what's happened.
I was sleeping.
As was I.
Yeah. But what like that clip that I've seen of there was still a game going on, and then the players found out about it during the game, and like their reaction, like this is one of the most mind-boggling things in sports. But like, how if you're going to trade a 25-year-old superstar, do you call up one team and then not shop them, and then end up getting?
And of
like
course,
nothing?
it's the Lakers. Like as a Lakers fan, like I love it, but of course you give the Lakers their next future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally
you understand
give.
the fume.
Everyone else should be pissed off at the Dallas Mavericks, and I understand as a Laker fan because it's like that would be like
It couldn't have been the Hawks, eh? Or couldn't have been like,
okay, the Leafs are about to drop off right away here, and I don't know. The Avs go, here's Cale Makar.
That's why
We want to help you
trade
stay
forward to Winnipeg
good.
would have been.
It was a great analogy for that. It's one where like. Why couldn't it be the Clippers even? Why couldn't it be someone else? Like, I could see why the entire NBA world's going, why did you send Luka Doncic to Lakers, who now have LeBron for a couple more years? It sounds like he is going to stay. And then
Well, why wouldn't
the
he
torch
now?
gets passed, and the face of the league goes to Luka Doncic as an LA Laker.
And a hell of a face at that. Like,
How about that? Someone posted the GIF of Michael Finley taking the beer away from Doncic.
well, and
they're
also
like,
you heard that
I love
stat
this.
hole. So, courtesy stat hole on X or Twitter. Luka Doncic was exactly 300 points. And again, when something like this happens, you're like, well, why? Like, there's got to be a
Right. Something.
So Doncic was exactly 300 points shy of Michael Finley's standing of 12,389 franchise points for the Mavericks. Michael Finley is the assistant GM for the Mavericks. So
Who
if
took
he
the
doesn't
beer
want-
away from Luka Doncic
who's
in
the
that
same
and
guy,
going,
exactly.
Fucking
So
exactly.
if you're connecting the dots, you get your string out with your push pins.
It's the
That's
Pepe
why.
Sylvia.
That's what it is. He's
It's
Pepe
Always
Sylvia.
Sunny, yeah.
yeah.
But how do they give him away for nothing? Like,
I could understand why you don't shop him. I can, because you don't want him to find out. Then he might find out, and then it becomes a bigger story. But he might say, "You want to know something? I'm not going anywhere."
Okay, yeah,
and
that's-
then he picks and chooses, and your package could be limited. I'm surprised that they got so little from the Lakers.
the package was limited. Like, there's no like. That's unbelievable. A first round pick 4 years from now.
Well, the Lakers still have another first round that they could have used, and they didn't even get that first.
Oh.
Like again, the Lakers when they got
Here,
this call,
too much. Take one back. Okay.
When the Lakers got this call, their response was like, "Yeah, this is a joke, isn't it?" And it was like, "No, you take, you have Luka." And it was like, okay, like yeah, and it actually took Rob Pelinka, I think, like 2 days. It came out that to agree to this or something. When Shams is reporting something, and immediately everyone's response was, "Well, he got hacked," and he has to come on and be like, "I wasn't hacked.
It's not a good
This
look.
was the trade.
Not a good look.
That's bad for the Dallas Mavericks."
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's so many tweets I saw in the morning was like this is not a joke. This actually happened. Like,
Yeah.
pardon?
And you know, if you pulled the pin on that deal and that's the response it gets, like
How does he not get fired? Like, how is that not?
Because ownership agreed to this. Ownership was in favor of this.
they're all in. But somebody also said Kidd looked pretty disappointed, or he didn't know about it. Or
he
and
didn't
It
even
was,
know
it
about
was
it.
apparently
It's
only
just
2 people in the Mavs knew about it.
Yeah.
And it was 2 people in the Lakers that knew about it. No one else knew about it.
Oh, I love it.
It was very hush hush. So like the ownership
Who was
found
in the
out,
room?
but
Yeah.
it was. If I'm Kidd, I'm not too thrilled long term.
Long term.
He's a great player,
and he helps them now. They said defense wins championships. The GM was quoted as.
I'm sad with AD gone as a Laker fan. I'm very
No, you're
thankful.
not. You got Luka freaking Doncic.
I love AD. I was sad. I'm sad to see him go. He came to join the Lakers with LeBron, brought us a title. I'm just like I'm thankful for what he did to the Lakers. I'm sad like he was a good Laker. I'm happy with this trade though. Like it's yes, thank you AD, all the best in Dallas. But I'm as a Laker, and this was like across Lakers message boards and stuff. Laker fans are sad that AD is gone. Like straight up, just like he was a good Laker for us. He did well for us, and he helped win us a championship.
This is like
But
saying
now, moving on.
what you're just saying to me is like if the Edmonton Oilers call up my Blackhawks and say, we'd like to give you Connor McDavid and, we'll take Connor Murphy back. I'm so sad to see Connor Murphy go. He's been a big trooper on our back end for the last 5
This
years.
is nothing like that, Murray. AD is one of the top players in the NBA, like a top 20 players, and led the Lakers, helped lead the Lakers to an NBA title. There is a thanks to AD from Laker
there is
fan.
a-
You could be thankful for that player.
LeBron led them to the NBA title. I mean, he
No,
was
80,
a good,
80 was really good in those playoffs.
Well, sure.
Like it was, you could still be thankful to a player while also happy with the trade.
It's a lot easier to be thankful to him now,
like,
though.
yeah, sure.
It's
I
very
don't know why
easy
you
to
can't, like,
yeah.
he deserves to be.
He's 31. Doncic is 25. I mean, this is
I'm not saying it's a
obscene.
bad trade.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't want to do this trade, Murray.
Yeah.
I'm saying I am sad that
Sad
like
to see him
AD
go.
is no longer
Okay.
a Laker. I'm happy that the Doncic is now
Yeah.
a Laker, and I'm fine with the trade.
Okay.
But AD was a great Laker, and I am thankful for what he did for the Lakers. You could be thankful for what somebody did in the past. You know, when Michael Riley left, I was thankful for what he did for the Edmonton Elks, and ask myself,
Oh, sure.
I'm
that
still
one though I
thankful
wasn't
for
happy
it.
he
Yeah.
left them.
For Riley, for sure.
Yeah.
But the return you get, though, it's much easier to be over the top thankful and to kind of just like.
Oh yeah,
I know you'd
It's-
always have thanks regardless of the deal, however he would leave.
There's
But as a
pro-
Lakers fan this morning, you're like,
it's I still don't think I believe it.
without him, you're not getting Doncic.
I actually there's
You
a
should have
part
a
of me.
parade for him.
Well, the trade was, how did people put it? Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and I forgot the other piece for a championship in Luka Doncic. That's what the trade ended
Sure.
up being now.
Yeah, okay.
Which is
That's
like,
the
yeah,
tree.
it's-
Yeah.
we already got our championship, and now we get Luka Doncic out of this tree type
God,
thing.
man.
I wonder. Like, I don't think I fully still believe it though, and I'm also like,
Oh,
Well,
well, what?
shock, I
Why?
guess.
Are, like, because everyone's upset at the Mavs for making, and it's like, okay, what are we missing?
There's protests in Dallas.
Why did the Mavs
Yeah.
trade him to the Lakers, and what are the Lakers?
it was the
what are we
scoring
not
thing.
seeing,
It was
right?
Finley
Like,
taking
it's-
the beer. Somebody said that he's got a drinking problem, and that's why his weight is out of
And-
control.
So
All of these theories now pop up. That's the.
I was always worried about what life would be after LeBron and AD.
It's
But
going
now
to
we
be
don't
just
have to.
fine.
Now you don't need
Now I
to-
don't have to worry.
Yeah, you don't
It's
need to worry.
Luka.
Just
They still
fine.
need a big man. If the Lakers want to go win anything this year or going into
Yeah,
next year,
but
they
who
need a
cares
big
about
man.
this year?
They need.
You know what I'm
nice.
saying?
They're
No,
still
but
in a decent
that's just a
spot.
bonus now. You've kind of got
The
that.
Lakers championship odds shot up.
But is there any better place to be as a sports fan of having like
No.
present success and a chance of present success, also with your future sealed all up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like knowing where you're at, but also knowing where you're going. Because knowing where you're at, sometimes you pay the price of not knowing where you're going. You know what I mean? Going all in or whatever. But having both at the same time, I mean,
Good point.
you're cloud nine.
Well, I gotta see if I could quickly find it here. Somebody broke down all the stars that are in LA right now and how big it is. Like you have Ohtani in town.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
You know, you have LeBron. You have the Jonkit, the Doncic,
Drew Doughty.
Like it's.
Well, somebody said, don't say Kopitar. A guy texted Lacombe Drew. He said Doncic is moving there because they want to start a Slovenian Pro Stars show. Kopitar
with-
and Doncic.
Breakfast cereal too?
The whole thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I'm in.
Branding, the whole bit.
Yeah, I like it.
Which
I like
I don't mind that theory.
Pro Stars was,
Yeah, yeah.
I love that show.
Bring it back,
Remember they had
Slovenian style.
Mom back at HQ.
Sure.
Yeah, she'd
Well,
tell
I'm
them where
back
to
in
go.
Slovenia.
Yeah.
Long live the Lakers. NBA trade deadline is on Thursday.
Mm.
It's on Thursday. Who doesn't want to see a Mavs Lakers playoff right now?
Oh, no.
Oh,
That's,
man.
give it to
Bring
me.
it on.
What's the chances of that right now? How would that have to look?
Well,
The Mavs are
the
ninth.
Mavs
The Lakers are
record right
fifth.
now?
They're
Yeah.
ninth.
They're
But I don't know what the
ninth, okay.
record is. But
So Lakers are 5th, 28 and 19. The Mavs are 26, 24 and 9th. So they'd have to play the first playoff. If they win that, then they'd have to win the next play-in. Win that, they would then play, I don't remember who. It's a little hard. So it might be a second round matchup potentially. Unless the Lakers shoot up a little bit in the standings, we'll see. Their first game with Doncic.
well, and you saw the Mavs' first game with
tomorrow.
their new defense. Like, I mean, I know AD didn't factor in, but 91. Cleveland hanging 91 points in the first half.
Lakers-
on the new look Mavs.
What?
Yeah. Without AD, but
Lakers
Oh, yeah, I
Clippers
saw that
tomorrow.
they were-
144-101 was the final.
Well, yeah, I saw one time they were up like 50 points in the
Ridiculous.
first half
Like,
or something. Yeah.
talk about a momentum letdown.
Yeah.
But-
Well, if you're an actual player on that team and you see that trade happen, you're like,
It's a
what
psychological
the
downer.
hell?
Yeah, yeah.
Like what just happened here?
Also, Markieff Morris coming back to the Lakers is underrated.
Well, yeah. There's other. Yeah.
The piece
No, but-
that one of those, like, I'm a big fan of him, and he was part of their 2020 championship.
Yeah.
He was a good depth player for them that year. So came off the bench most of the playoffs.
See, and
So-
that's the thing. It's not even like you're giving up. You're now getting even more in that deal.
yeah, it wasn't just Doncic for like 80 and picks and stuff.
But
It
you're
was like,
the fact that you're not giving up as much as you should be. You're now
But they're
getting back
getting
more
stuff.
than you should
like,
be.
Oh.
no, you take even more. You have even more.
No, here, have
and then
Markieff
Plink
Morris.
is probably like trying to end the call. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do this trade. But like, no.
No, actually-
we want to give you something else.
How about this? And a Toyota Tercel.
I like this text. Deep breath. I agree with Iwanyk.
just in
Is there,
general.
yeah, what's that one on though?
Oh, all the
Just everything I said
trade,
today,
yes.
or is
Yes.
it the AD stuff?
you've won someone over.
You've hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
Thank you, Murray, Eric, Tommy.
You're welcome.
This was a fun hangout. We dealt a little bit with the draft. We talked some Stuart Skinner. We did
No
CFL
issues.
tampering window.
Didn't get to the Pro-Am.
and the Edmonton Elks.
No Pebble Beach
We didn't get to
talking.
Pebble Beach and Rory's win. We didn't get to the Pro Bowl.
That's too bad.
We'll do
Yeah,
hangout.
darn.
We'll do an
I didn't even
extra
know what
hangout
happened.
after. It was glorious.
It wasn't.
I don't know.
We'll do hang
That's the
Coming
point
up
of
next,
After
we do
dark.
got the Lock Shop. We got Oil Stream. We got EST Afternoons. We got
Oil
the Reed
Stream.
Wilkins Show with Jay Mill. And that's all to come
spicy.
here on Edmonton Sports Talk on behalf of Tommy Murray, Lieutenant Eric Matt, and Brendan behind
number
the
3.
camera. Thanks for tuning in to the EST Angle presented by Sentinel Storage. Full CFL free agency show next Tuesday. Reminder on that. Lock Shop coming up in just a few minutes right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First time guest, long time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Zola with here. Joining us today,